success spoiled the dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How so?
Well, it looks pretty rotten to me, doesn't it?
So how has it changed you? I mean, how has
Well, I was noticing the other night, for instance, that when I'm going through pistachios, opening pistachios, that the hard to open ones, I don't bother with them anymore. Who's got time?
Good point.
Can you describe your favorite memories from that era?
Well,
First off, there was the acid test, and that was a barrel of fun.
yeah.
And more fun than a frog in a glass of milk. And
And you were about to say,
wait.
I was going to apologize for not having any memory.
I can't stop. After working at this for as many years as I have, a lot more doors are open to me now, and I'll be stir-fried if I'm just gonna walk past that.
Is any of this at all related to the fact that Jerry left so soon? That you see things that maybe you would have been doing together, or you're doing this because he left so soon?
Well, he left some unfinished business, and I'm going to do my best. We were partners. I'm going to do my best to tidy some stuff up for him. He was a dear friend of mine. You know, that's what you do for your friends.
Would you hold it near as it were your...
Singer-songwriter and guitarist Bob Weir, a cornerstone of the Grateful Dead and its many latter-day offshoots for more than half a century, has died at the age of 78 after a long battle with cancer and underlying lung issues, according to a statement shared by his family. Weir was diagnosed last summer and began treatment just 3 weeks before Dead & Company, a Grateful Dead spin-off, took the stage at Golden Gate Park for a historic weekend of concerts celebrating the band's 60th anniversary. Many fans believed those emotional, live-streamed performances could be the band's unannounced farewell, though few realized the immense physical challenges Weir was facing as he powered through what would become his final shows. The family statement read, "It is with profound sadness that we share the passing of Bobby Weir. He transitioned peacefully, surrounded by loved ones, after courageously beating cancer as only Bobby could. Unfortunately, he succumbed to underlying lung issues." Bobby's final months reflected the same spirit that defined his life. Diagnosed in July, he began treatment only weeks before returning to his hometown stage for a 3-night celebration of 60 years of music at Golden Gate Park. Those performances, emotional, soulful, and full of light, were not farewells but gifts. Another act of resilience, an artist choosing, even then, to keep going by his own design. As we remember Bobby, it's hard not to feel the echo of the way he lived. A man drifting and dreaming, never worrying if the road would lead him home. A child of countless trees, a child of boundless seas. There is no final curtain here, not really, only the sense of someone setting off again. He often spoke of a 300-year legacy, determined to ensure the songbook would endure long after him. May that dream live on through future generations of Deadheads. And so we send him off the way he sent so many of us on our way, with a farewell that isn't an ending, but a blessing, a reward for a life worth living. His loving family, Natasha, Monet, and Chloe, request privacy during this difficult time and offer their gratitude for the outpouring of love, support, and remembrance. May we honor him not only in sorrow, but in how bravely we continue with open hearts, steady steps, and the music leading us home. Hang it up and see what tomorrow brings.
Conditioned by indoctrination, conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Conditioned by misinformation, it's just the media telling us lies. Decipher fiction from the truth, society's slow and tragic demise. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Everyone's got their fucking opinion.
What's happening? It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live Side Trips bonus episode. tribute to Bob Weir. You know, I wouldn't say I was okay, but I didn't get that choked up about this whole thing until I put together that intro and just heard the whole thing at the end. Like when I put that together, I got a little choked up. You know, Bob Weir was big in my world. Bob Weir was a big one for me. Bob Weir was an American music for those who may not know, and I know for a couple people out there, this show is called the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and for the most part, we deal with a lot of heavy and hard music, although every now and then we mix it up, and this is one of those times. So I appreciate a lot of you out there that may not be that akin to the Grateful Dead or Bob Weir, but you're fans and supporters of the show, and you're here. So I appreciate that. And this one means a lot to me. So thank you for making the effort and for being here. And it's going to be a cool show. A little bit sort of officially, about Bob Weir. Robert Hall Weir, October 16th, 1947 to January 10th, 2026, was an American musician and songwriter best known as a founding member of the Grateful Dead, which I must say, I think he was 15 or 16. After the group disbanded in 1995, he performed with the Other Ones, later known as the Dead. Weir also founded and played in several other bands during and after his career with the Grateful Dead, including Kingfish, the Bob Weir Band, Bobby and the Midnights, Scaring the Children, Rat Dog, Further, the Wolf Brothers, and of course, the Dead and Company. During his career with the Grateful Dead, Weir played mostly rhythm guitar and sang many of the band's rock and roll and country songs. Interesting. In 1994, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of the Grateful Dead. In 2024, he was awarded Kennedy Center honors as a member of the Grateful Dead. So a couple things about on paper, but on a more personal note, I don't think I've seen any musician play more, any single musician more than Bob Weir. As many of you know, as a young teenager, before I got into the hardcore and the punk thing, in my later teenage years, as a young teenager, I rode the rails with the Grateful Dead, and I probably saw the Grateful Dead 100 times before I ever saw my first hardcore show, from age 15 to maybe, I don't know, 18 or something. I saw the Grateful Dead 140 times with Jerry Garcia, and I certainly saw Bob Weir play with all those other bands another 60 times. So I've seen Bob Weir play on stage at least 200 times. Probably the only other band I've seen that much would be Biohazard, because I tour managed for them, and you know I traveled the world with them, and I was very involved with that band for a couple years. So maybe I've seen Biohazard close to 200 times. But Bob Weir, probably. And in a lot of ways, it's the end of an era. Bob Weir's passing. You know, he was the last singing voice of the Grateful Dead. Brett Midland's gone, Pigpen's gone, Jerry Garcia, Phil Lesh, Vince Welnick, Donna Jean Gotcha. They all sang. Weir was the last person that could really legitimately sing these songs. So that's it. It's the end of an era. He was a huge influence on me as a young person, later as a performer, and later as a guitar player. He was younger than the rest of the band. So he was younger than the rest of the band, and he looked even younger than that. So when we first started going to see the Grateful Dead, we were young teenagers. Weir looked like he wasn't that much older than us. I mean, Garcia and some of those other guys looked a little bit older, but Weir looked young. Weir looked like he was in his early 20s. So we'll get into that. But Weir was our guy. He was a guy that we related to. He was the entertainer of the group, and he certainly carried the torch after Jerry Garcia's death. Jerry Garcia died very young. He was 53 years old when he passed. So he, sadly, Garcia, died very young. And I see your comments, and it's going to be a very interactive show. Ari, rest in love, Bob Weir. Wow, Dave Engelman checking in from Portchester, the home of the Capitol Theater. Absolutely, Bobby played many times. Even starting out, I think at those infamous 1971 Grateful Dead shows. I think Mickey Hart played his last show with the Dead in that era. Jason Dermer, love that you guys are doing this. Yeah, I was one of those guys that would catch a CB's matinee, then do later a Dead tour. Yeah. Through the years of working in music, I had the pleasure of working with both the Dead and plenty of offshoots, and built a friendship with Bobby. The kindest thing he ever did in his life, at least in my book, is when my friend Kristen was murdered on the road. I, with help, of course, convinced him to appear on America's Most Wanted. Wow. Heavy. A lot of heaviness. Speaking of heaviness, let's bring on our good friend and sometimes co-host, Lori Dawn. Hi.
Thank you very much. Hi. It's nice to be here today. This is a special day.
Speaking of heaviness.
Speaking of heaviness and morose. Hi, everyone.
I see you dug out the Janis Joplin shirt.
Hey, it's kind of topical,
Yes.
We jammed together once or twice, right?
Right, yeah. Janis Joplin jammed with the Dead a couple of times. Janis Joplin dated Pigpen from the Grateful Dead.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah. Janis Joplin, I must say, has her music and for me has aged very well. Like,
oh yeah,
I listen to Janis Joplin and see footage of her now, and she just rips. She was great.
Short life of 27 years for sure.
She's part of the 27 Club.
That's right. Yeah.
Her, Pigpen, Kurt Cobain, Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison,
right?
Brian Jones.
Yeah, that's right. So,
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, this is. But at least Bob Weir had some longevity there, and he had a beautiful life, a beautiful career.
He sure did.
A beautiful family. So it's really a celebration today. So.
Yeah. No, he did. He had an incredibly vibrant career. And we'll talk about it. The guy started playing Join the Grateful Dead at 15, 16 years old and literally did not stop playing until 6 months before he passed.
Yeah.
I don't know too many musicians who have played more shows. Some people say he's played the most live shows of any musician, but I tend to think that there's some old school country western bluegrass guy that, or even Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan's been playing a lot in the past 30 years.
But these guys, they taught hard too. You think about their backs, their hands, their their playing.
Yeah.
And to still be able to do that.
Weir was in good shape. I mean, he was one of these guys that was on Instagram posting clips of him working out a year ago. He was working out and doing his thing. So
it's a lesson to us all,
Yeah, I'm not sure what he got cancer. I'm not sure what I think he had. Did he have? I'm not sure what cancer he had, but apparently they said it was his lungs. Yeah, he did all that CrossFit kettlebell stuff, hard workout. Yeah, and he was 70-something years old.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's good.
Watch the Festival Express. I was actually watching some of Festival Express last night to just get in the groove. It's incredible, So that said, but
But I'm glad we're doing this show today. Listen, we're all music fans.
Yeah.
So it's we got our favorites or whatever. But when you're a music lover, you like all good music.
That's
You
right.
know, we were talking before in the pre-show about, when we were younger, we had like our tribes, like we were metalheads, we were punk kids, we were new wave kids, whatever.
Mhm.
And it was all, but listen, I liked it all,
Yeah.
and those music, the Grateful Dead, the kids that were listening to the Grateful Dead were the kids, that were like, they were like musicians. They really loved music. They were really into playing and things like that. And, they listened to all kinds of stuff, we all did. So whether we were going to admit it or not,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we'll get into that. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the world has calmed down a bit as far as like, what
Tribalism in music.
because I remember, brawling with kids because they listened to disco. Like, yo, come on, we're gonna go fuck up.
This sucks.
Come on, at fucking lunchtime, we're gonna go fucking fuck up the disco kids, and we'd
Yeah.
brawl. When I
Yeah.
went to Kennedy High School in the Bronx, we'd go scrap with the disco
Right.
kids at lunch.
Ridiculous.
Fuck,
Yeah. It was
like physical violence because of the music you listen to.
right. Meanwhile, he was silently listening to the
Let's
beat.
bring that back. Let's bring that back. Let's fucking.
Meanwhile, you were silently listening to the Bee Gees.
No, I love the BG. I love disco now. At the time, I didn't, but I love disco now. I do, but at the time, it was like disco.
Right. Exactly. I
How
think
could you listen?
Yeah.
We listen to real music.
Right.
Yeah.
Silliness.
Yeah.
Silliness.
Yep. All right. Well,
So-
thank you. Oh, and we're going to see you in a couple weeks. You're co-hosting with me when we have Pepper from Corrosion and Conformity on, right?
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Okay. Hey, Larry Kelly, shout out to my friend Chrissy, who's watching the show from California. Yo, we're shouting out Chrissy in California.
Shout out
Well-
to all the deadheads out there.
The Deadheads and Hardcore Kids.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you in a bit.
Okay. Have a good show.
All right. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
That's right. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. We are sponsored by the Texas Silver Rush, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, Woman of the Pit, She Devil Coven, Minty Fresh Presents, and 126 Hardcore Clothing. They're a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise. They're about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them. Ramp up your game. www.126clothing.com. That said, let's clear the deck. Let's bring our first guest on. Everybody okay? Everybody okay in the chat room? Burn the disco records. Absolutely. Shout out to Amazing 90s Blotter Acid. Okay. Is anybody out there tripping today watching the show? All right. Enough. Hey, Kenny Rayner. Enough silliness. Here we go. Let's bring on our first guest. Is an American musician hailing from the Bay State of Massachusetts. He is known as the lead vocalist of the metalcore band Shadows Fall. Here today to share with us his inherent love of the Grateful Dead and to lend us some perspective on the late, great Bob Weir, please welcome Mr. Brian Fair. Hey, man.
What's happening?
How are you, buddy?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me on. And as I've told you before, I can talk Dead all day. So still talk some Grateful Dead.
You know, I was thinking about this, and that we don't know each other per se. This is you and I. Maybe we've crossed paths a couple times in the past, but we've really not been formally introduced to each other. But you're a guest that would certainly end up on this show eventually, because everybody does. And I was just thinking, like, how friggin' great it is that what's really bringing you here and bringing you and I together is the Dead and are both we're passionate about. It's really interesting. It's not the heavy and hard stuff. I sing in a hardcore band. You sing in a metalcore. But we're here talking about
the Dead. That's the thing. When I heard, it's because I always love when I uncover another Deadhead, either in the metal or hardcore world, because there's a lot lurking out there, and especially ones who hopped on early, and all that. So it's always good to to find out that there's that common ground, and hearing that you hit like 140 plus shows or whatever, you know, like that's some serious touring, man. Those are some stats.
It happened. A lot of it was early on. Yeah, I went out on the road and learned a lot about learned a lot about just traveling and life and things in general from the community and the culture. Were you into the Dead before the heavy and hard stuff? What was your journey?
I had a different evolution where, you know, I started off, you know, the classic kind of rock guy, you know, listening to Kiss and growing up on AC/DC and all that. And then at an early age through like skateboarding, I got into like hardcore and thrash metal, and that was it, you know. But I was singing in a hardcore band by the time I was 14 years old. And at the time, probably, you know, some of my friends were into the Dead, but all I heard was the studio stuff. So you're hearing like Casey Jones and stuff. I'm like, it's all right. It's a good song, but, you know, it didn't blow me away. And it's funny. I started getting into more like progressive sort of death metal and like prog metal. That turned me on to jazz fusion, which I heard like a 74 Dark Star and was like, this is the perfect music. I was like, how have I not known that this existed for like my whole life? So luckily it was still in the early 90s. So I at least got to see Jerry through the early 90s. And granted, you know, there was a little bit of a downward spiral and some of the playing and more the consistency, but I still caught some hot shows. Like, my first run was at the Boston Garden, you know, and they were still bringing the heat, and saw a lot of MSG shows. And
was that like I think was that 93 they played the Garden for that?
93 they did a 4 or 5 run, and I was a freshman at Boston University at the time.
Those were great shows.
Those were killer shows.
Those were great shows.
The MSG run the next year was kind of one of his last big gas where there was like that 35-minute Scarlet Fire, which I'm convinced most of it was because he couldn't remember the next verse in Fire, so he just kept going, which is, I'll take it, you know. But so seeing those shows, and at the time it's funny because, you know, hardcore is such a community-based type of music, and I was really into the Boston scene at the time, and I was more into kind of, there was like the Food Not Bombs sort of like, you know, like political like hardcore scene there, and that was the activism and all the kind of philosophical like sort of discussions that were happening were why I really loved the scene. And I looked at the Dead, and I didn't really realize that once I got to that scene, it was a similar thing. And if anything, the Dead created even more DIY world in music than almost anyone else, because they were selling their own tickets through lottery direct to fans. They were, you know, doing their own record labels. They were doing all that stuff and created a touring circuit when there wasn't one in the 60s and early 70s just by going out and doing it. I mean, shit, they were inventing PA stuff that's changed the technology to what we use today. And mostly by stumbling through it, by just, you know, getting high and having a crazy idea, but making it happen. And that's an insane legacy to have, you know?
Yeah, they were pioneers in a lot of realms and a lot of DIY realms early on. Touring, merchandise, equipment. They really were behind the kind of standard PA system that are in all these arenas and stuff was made possible by the Grateful Dead and their sort of crazy sound guys.
Yeah, having Owsley, who not only was making the greatest acid in the world, was also designing all their sound equipment, you know, and like, but of course they had to take it to such another level and go to the wall of sound level where they're like, well, now, you know, that's what happens when you give a bunch of like psychedelic warriors that much of a budget to build. Yeah, there you go. That's when that is the most killer sound system possible, but also the logistics of that. I mean, that had to be a nightmare, but just so sick.
I mean, we're bouncing around here a little bit, but this is a photo from 1974, and this is what Brian and I are alluding to. Is this what was known as the Wall of Sound? And they created this incredible sound system where, I mean, I'm sort of hard pressed to even explain it. The band was totally behind this. The band was in front of the speakers, in front of the PA, and they could kind of control it themselves, and
It was at the point where Phil could send each string to a different speaker and everything.
Right.
Like they were,
the quad bass. Yeah,
which that thing is. I mean, it looks like he's like holding a spaceship, dropping the Phil bombs. But I mean, can you imagine? But all the innovations, even with some of the microphones they developed for live sound to get rid of feedback, and they were some of the first in-ear monitor touring bands and all that. So the Dead was always at the cutting edge of technology. Even with the MIDI stuff in the 80s, to varying degrees of success, But they were willing to try any new weird gadget,
reverse. And Mark Taltz up in Canada says reverse phase mics.
Yep.
Yeah, they came up with reverse phase mics to I guess to get around the feedback issue.
Yep.
So
and just standing in front of that thing, what it must have sounded like when you just hit that first note, like they're coming into the other one or something. That had to just I can't even imagine.
Yeah. And there's Weir up front and center here. I mean, probably singing something like One More Saturday Night or Sugar Mag or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Getting the Bobby Rockstar on.
Is that right? Kill for P69 saw the Wall of Sound at Roosevelt Stadium in 73, 74. Yeah.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah. I didn't, my first show was 1978. So by then they kind of dismantled.
But so you still got to see with Donna and that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But interesting thing, I've thought about this often, is that when I first started seeing the Dead, I knew I liked it. It spoke to me. I really didn't understand what I was seeing musically. Yeah. It's the kind of, as the years rolled on, I started to get a comprehension of what I was seeing and musically and what they were doing. It took many years for me to understand. All I knew early on was I liked it. My friends went. Everybody was getting high.
Yeah,
it's community and culture. Yep. Like, this is my tribe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then you start realizing how really complex and layered and creative the music they're making is. It's like it's not that they're just jamming and just noodling around. There's like the fact that they could build things out of nothing and just transition from song to song in ways, especially being in a metal band, we were about precision and we were trying to be as tight and as ferocious as we could. Right. They were willing to completely deconstruct the music down to like nothing and then build it up to something, Yep. And just the balls to every night go out there being like, I have no idea what's going to happen. Like, I can't even imagine that,
Yeah. And sometimes to a fault with them, because sometimes things were grossly under rehearsed and things could have been a little more together. But
definitely. But ramshackle was one of the best ways to describe them, because that was part of the fun, though. You never knew especially if you're like in the same headspace as them, and then the train starts going off the track, you're going with them. Yeah. So you're like, all right, man, here we go. Like, let's see where we land.
Interesting. Weir was 16 when I mean, look, he looks like he was young. He was very young when he joined the band, and at 16 on New Year's Eve 1963, Weir met Jerry Garcia, who was 21, at Dana Morgan's music store, and they spent the night playing music together and decided to form a band, Mother McCree's Uptown Jug Champions, which they later changed to the Warlocks, then the Grateful Dead. But like when I said at the beginning of the show, he was young, but he looked even younger.
Totally. Can you imagine at 16, just like, first of all, like going out with this band of absolute maniacs, between Pigpen and Jerry and all them, like, and then just being like swept into that kind of musical like style must have, changed the way, because to learn how to play guitar playing in the Grateful Dead had to be such a, open so many doors where he could go in so many directions, and he had such a distinctly different style of rhythm guitar with all the inverted chords and weird timing, and sometimes knowing when to not play anything as well and just let Jerry flow. It had to be such a weird musical upbringing, because there's no one else who like kind of came to music in that way.
I had a clip I wanted to play at the beginning of the show. It was an outtake from, I think the film, his documentary, the other one, which I recommend, is a Bob Weir documentary. There's a clip, and I grabbed the clip, but what I do is I make sure I could play it, and I couldn't because it was getting flagged, and I don't like to play stuff on the show that gets flagged because it could shut the feed down. Yep. But in the clip I was going to play, Sammy Hagar is talking about playing with Weir and how most people would do an E and just go E, but Weir would do all these different E, all these different
all the way up and down,
all the way up and down the neck. And,
yeah, he definitely took his playing from more of like a jazz pianist sort of like approach.
That's right.
You know, like filling in those chords with just colors and stuff like that. And that's such an interesting way in a rock band, you know, to be able to do that. Although, I mean, they were more than just a rock band. They covered so much ground. It's crazy.
Phil Lesh said that when drummer Mickey Hart left the band temporarily in early 1971, he was able to hear Weir's playing more clearly than ever. And, quote, I found myself astonished, delighted, and excited beyond measure at what Bobby was doing. Lesh described Weir's playing as quirky, whimsical, and goofy, and noted his ability to play chord voicings on the guitar with only 4 fingers that one would normally hear from a keyboard with up to 10 fingers. His unique guitar style is strongly influenced by the hard bop pianist McCoy Tyner, and he has cited artists diverse as John Coltrane, Reverend Gary Davis, and Igor Stravinsky as his influences.
So there you go.
Yeah, not the usual.
Not just playing Chuck Berry chords and just, you know, like rock and roll. He was bringing a whole new angle. But I mean, he had to play with Jerry, who was just taking the guitar into a completely new universe, you know, as well. So.
Yeah. I love these shots. These early shots. This is a pretty early shot. This is Mickey Hart is up front and center. What's interesting is the only 2 surviving members that are in this picture here are Mickey Hart, the drummer that's in the front, and Bill Kreutzmann, second in the back from the right. The 2 drummers.
They pulled the reverse Spinal Tap. You know, the drummer who survived. You know.
yeah.
I just read Bill Kreutzmann's book recently, and the fact that he's survived what he's done through his life is amazing, and he just keeps on rocking, and he's still playing. It's unreal, man. So.
You know, funny you should bring that up, because in those days when I used to see the Dead, and I'd sort of be in the audience, and I'd be somewhat under the influence, and you're sort of you're thinking about all sorts of worldly things. I vividly remember looking at the stage and going, I wonder who's the first one of these guys to go. And I wonder how this is going to come to an end. How is this fantastic, incredible band going to come to an end? Who's going to go first? And I always thought the first one to go would be Bill Kreutzmann. And he's still here. He's
still being Billy, you know, like
still going.
If you haven't seen the Billy and the Kids shows he did, some of it's up on YouTube with Billy Strings playing guitar and some members of, I think it was like Disco Biscuits keyboard player and a few other guys from
I didn't see any of that. Yeah,
it's great.
Really?
It also showed me that Billy wasn't the reason Dead and Company were going slow. He could still swing. He could still go.
Yeah. This was my era, really. Like my really, sure, I saw them in '78 with Keith and Don in '79, but really this was my era here, starting in '79 when Brent Midland joined the band. I ended up seeing a lot of shows.
I'm a super Brent fan, so
yeah, he's fantastic.
It's funny, when I first started getting into the Dead, I listened to a lot more like 72 to 77 type stuff, and nowadays I seem to go back more to 80s, as well as like 89, 90 might be some of my favorite shows that ever happened. Those were those last Brent runs were just unreal, and they were writing so many great new songs, like a lot of weird Bob songs like Picasso Moon and like, you know, like things like that. It was like they were still 30 years in creating new sounds and new approaches. And man, Brent was just I think would have pushed them even further had he not gone, you know. So.
Weir says that he really thinks that spring of '90 was a high watermark for the band. That was I've heard Weir say that.
Yeah, they must have been such a renaissance for them after, a little bit of just, kind of making their way through the 80s, somehow surviving more than anything else, and then having another creative peak that late must have been pretty crazy. So, but yeah, that spring 90, man, there's some shows. I went back recently and listened to the entire 1990, like every show, like not every day, but like, throughout like over like a 2-year period, and was like, man, that was some shit.
Big high watermark. Ryan Bland, our good friend and supporter, frontman for Ache, says, I love the story Bob Weir told of the Clash and the Grateful Dead sharing a hotel. He talked about him and Joe Strummer getting wasted and passing out on the roof of a hotel. And there you go. There's a shot of Weir. And
I love in that story. They're like, so what did you drink? He's like, what every pirate drinks, rum.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're in Jamaica, right?
Yeah. So I just love too how there are a lot of punk rock connections to the Dead that people may not realize, because at the time punk and Dead couldn't have been more like different sort of fan bases. But like Greg Ginn and from Black Flag always cites how Jerry's approach to guitar and just the like, whatever happens sort of approach was huge influence on him. And then Joe Strummer always said like, how much he appreciated what they did. And it was, I think a lot of it was because of that DIY approach where they created a community. There's a lot of scenes, but they're based around a ton of bands. Like you go to the New York hardcore scene and it's based around a group of core friends and promoters and bands and all that. With the Grateful Dead scene, it was one band, that literally had a moving city with it. And I think a lot of that ethic, like translates to these other more underground scenes, quote unquote. But the blueprint was created and sort of perfected by the Dead as it was. So,
100%. It's interesting how different the animosity between the scenes. I was around in doing it in the early 80s, part of both scenes in the early 80s, and both scenes did not care for each other. Like Ian MacKay's band, the Teen Idols, had a song called Deadhead. Deadhead, take another toke. Deadhead, you're a fucking joke. Friend of the devil who you trying to kid. Friends of the devil are dead like Sid. I'll be grateful when you're dead. And my Deadhead friends love that. So like when we were on to the play that, they thought it was the greatest thing. But it's interesting how both scenes had this animosity towards each other, and yet they were so similar. And I was a part of both scenes, and I was sort of stuck in this in the space-time continuum where I would go see the Dead and they go, what do you mean you're into this hardcore thing? Like, what do you what happened to the Drew Stone I used to know? And then I'd go back to my hardcore friends and they were like, you were at the Grateful Dead? It's like, what, are you kidding me? He's like, what happened to the Drew Stone I used to know and love? I learned right then and there, you got to do, you have to do for you. And and I realized I can't please everybody here. I have to go with my heart. And that was a big lesson for me as a young person.
100%. I did that because, like I said, going to Boston shows, you'd see some hardcore kids or punk kids at the Dead lot, but mostly to either try and jump some dude for some weed or or to just cause a ruckus. And at the time I was going to both. And like you said, I think these days it's changed a lot where people are so much more just open to all kind of types of music and realize that. But back then it was pretty lines. But I always flew the flag from the beginning. I never cared. Like I was wearing Steelies on stage like while we were playing with hardcore bands, and I always flew the flag. I've even snuck in little quotes to like Dead lyrics and some Overcast and Shadows Fall stuff through the years, and it's funny though. Later days, I would be at like a Fish show, and I would see another hardcore kid, and they'd kind of almost put their head down. I'm like, nah, man, I see you. Like I know.
Right.
And some of it is too, growing up in the hardcore scene. There's a lot of straight edge bands, which is great and all. But I was like, I'm having a lot more fun over here on Deadlot.
Yeah.
So,
is there anybody else in your band, Shadows Fall, that
not really.
No?
Like our bass player definitely appreciates it. Same with our drummer, on a musicianship level. But like John, our lead guitar player, he's straight. He was glam metal into thrash metal, and then nothing, and it never went in any other direction from there.
Sure.
But I used to drive them crazy because I was late night van driver in the early days. I had better vision. I could stay awake at night. So you're getting hit with like, Veneta, Oregon, 72 or whatever. You're gonna, because I'm controlling the tape deck, so you're getting hit with the Dead. So those early Shadows Fall and Overcast tours, there was a lot of Grateful Dead soundtrack for the late night rides. So
of course, you mentioned the one of the all-time, arguably the greatest show they ever played, the Veneta, Oregon 1970 show, 1972 show.
Yep.
I mean that's a go-to. That's a big go-to.
But you got to be ready to get your face and brain melted though, like because it's a heavy-duty show. Like they're not just chilling playing country songs. They're ready to rip, man. They're
Dark Star into El Paso, right?
Totally. Dude, that Bird song too gets so crazy, and you can just see the LSD dripping out of the notes.
Bro, how about the "Sing Me Back Home"?
Oh, dude, tears every time. Tears.
I mean, it's that's arguably their most spiritual moment.
For real. But can you imagine just being on a field like that, 100 degrees? The pranksters have dosed the entire water supply. Had to be unreal.
Hey, speaking of bandmates. I want to bring on next guest. Our next guest is a multi-instrumentalist songwriter hailing from Malvern, Long Island. He is known for his work with the bands Pawn Shop Kings, Proust, Sunchild, the Drew Stone Hit Squad, The Undead, Antidote, NYHC, and of course, currently Incendiary Device. He's also an avid skateboarder with an historian with a ramp literally in his backyard. Please welcome back to the show, coming at us from Huntington, Long Island, one of my best friends and someone I love playing Grateful Dead music with, Mr. Tristan DeGraves.
What an intro.
Yeah, I'm trying to hype you up. Hey, is that...
You didn't list me as a High and the Mighty member.
Oh, I didn't. You got off easy. Oh, excuse me. Is that the tie-dye that was in your? What's that smell?
Yeah, exactly. So, for the show, for the sake of the show, I was like, let me dust off some of the old stuff in my garage. That tie-dye is from got to be 89, 90, somewhere in there, and it smells horrible. So I'm in a lot of trouble after this is done because the whole room smells like must.
Right.
Pretty nasty. Yeah.
Do you, Tristan, any sort of perspective, any Weir Dead recollection? I know you and I bond over this. We love the Dead. We play a lot of when we're together, just you and me, we play a lot of Dead stuff. You know the catalog very well, and and any perspective?
I mean, it was funny. I was listening to Brian talk before. I'm like, man, he's like kind of telling my bio. I was into hardcore and metal and skateboarding, and then I remember this when I was really young. Right here, let me pull it out for you. This logo was the Steal Your Face was spray painted on a wall in Malvern, in the town I grew up in. And, it was like a backdrop. It was always there. And my assumption was the Grateful Dead, they got to be like Deep Purple or Sabbath, like all their imagery is so dark in a way, you know what I mean? And I kind of found them in 1987, in the dark. And I had grown up, my parents listened to country music. So that was sort of like my background, even though I was in, it was like the soundtrack to my childhood, even though personally my music was heavy music, right? And then I remember I got In the Dark, and then shortly after that, I think Working Man's Dead. And it was like, she'll be coming around the mountain when she comes, you know what I mean? Like, this is that band with that logo.
Yeah.
But the music was very familiar to me in that sense. You know what I mean? That I understood country music, and it began from 88 to probably 87 to 91, just an absolute wormhole for me. Was everywhere,
You bring up an interesting point. For me, I got into, like I said to Brian before, I got into the Grateful Dead sort of I was very young, and I got into the music and got to know a lot of the songs, and then sort of worked my way backwards from there. and sort of followed the trail of breadcrumbs back to New Minglewood Blues, a traditional song, Beat It Down the Line, so on and so. And of course, they were a jug band initially, and Garcia was very steeped in Americana, bluegrass, and stuff like that. So I ended up kind of going backwards to see who their influences were, and that opened me up to an incredible plethora of artists, including like Woody Guthrie. They put me on a Woody Guthrie tangent. They put me on a bluegrass. I learned all about bluegrass. So I sort of reverse engineered it. They really, it started there, and it just like I think a lot of people with a lot of the English blues guys like Clapton and the Stones, when those people reverse engineered the music they were playing, it brought them back to Muddy Waters and Lightning Hopkins and so on and so forth.
I went down the same wormhole actually with Red Rooster, Wang Dang Doodle. I was like, I want to hear the originals of these songs. So that put me into a blues phase for a while.
Yeah. It's crazy how much of a cover band they really were at their heart too, but they also had the ability to write a song that you think might be a cover. Like Friend of the Devil sounds like some Americana song that people have been singing for like decades, but it's like, no, that's an original, but then they'll reinvent an actual, traditional song in their own way. It's no other band I know that really was able to kind of capture that sort of feeling,
Right. Yeah. I would say too, like I never, as a young kid, like you hear Bob Dylan and you're like, oh my God, like his voice is horrible. And it was really through the Dead, like Desolation Row and, Sweet Jane, Jane Approximately. But those songs kind of, I was like, maybe I should check out Dylan. And then I understood his brilliance through the Dead,
Yeah.
And I think people like, on the surface, it's just a bunch of noodling, for a lot of people, a casual listener. But when you actually go back, like you were saying, Drew, and listen to the catalog, they morphed in so many ways. I mean, at the heart of it was the playing off each other. But I mean, there's albums, it's like a bluegrass album, then it's a psychedelic album, you know what I mean? So even though it all sort of sounds like the Dead in a way, very different. They covered a lot of ground.
100%. You mentioned something else, and this has come up a couple of times, and I've discussed this with my friends at the time. When I first started seeing the Dead in 78 and 79, and then this was big for me. We waited online for Madison Square Garden tickets, and as fate would have it, right, we were like, the way that back then, let me just say, the way it worked is for Ticketron is you would wait online for tickets all night, and tickets would go on sale, and literally, if you were the first online, you got front row seats for the most part. As a matter of fact, if you were first online, you would get the front row, but all the way to the side. So on this particular instance, I think we were like number 14. So by the time the tickets came to us, we ended up with these both nights, dead center, first row at Madison Square Garden. Dead center. And keep in mind, back then, there was no big, there was first row was first row. The stage was right in front of you. There was not like a barrier and security. This is 1981. So two nights we go to Madison Square Garden, and we're Garcia was right. We were right at his feet, and they were incredible shows. But what I'm getting at is the Grateful Dead in 78, 79, 88, they were a rock band. They rocked the fuck out. They did in those years. They were loud and they rocked out. They were like a real loud rock band in those years, and they were great. And Bob Weir was at the forefront of that. He was rocking out with Sugar Magnolia and Truckin' and Good Lovin', and he was rocking out. It was great. They were a rock band.
It's funny, like when you juxtapose that toward the end, I think the last time I saw him was maybe 94-ish.
Yeah.
And it was like I went to the Chinese New Year shows up in Oakland. And it was like Jimmy. They love each other. It was just like, like
slow, dirge.
slow. And we were just, come on. Like, and that was sort of my cue to like, all right,
Yeah, that's when the Persian heroine had taken over, to where it's like, the beginning of that might have an energetic, creative peak, but then it's just, they were in that straight funeral dirge mode my last show was 95 in Vermont, and it was like, I don't think they got over like 85 BPMs at any time, they were just cruising along. And I had a blast, but it was like, all right, it wasn't surprising he wasn't around much longer after that.
Yeah, what 100%. And I have this in my notes. My era, 1980 to 1983, I probably saw 100 shows, radio stations. I saw Bob Weir carry this band in 1983 and 84. The guy was a great showman when Garcia was nodding off in his soup. I literally saw a couple shows. It was very obvious that Weir was carrying the band. I don't remember exactly. I think it was 80, 83, 84, maybe 82. But where Garcia was just noticeably sort of morose. Lesh was just punching the clock, but Weir was up front and center and really pulling the sled and entertaining the crowd and making it a great show. So I saw Weir single-handedly carry the Grateful Dead a bunch of times. Wow. Interesting. Yeah. So Tristan, you got some show and tell there?
I do. Are we going to do shirt of the day? Is that
you want to do shirt of the day, or why don't you pull an album cover or two out? Or whatever you want, whatever.
All right, we'll start with shirt of the day, but and then we could talk about some albums or whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't save many shirts from back in the day, but this was a special one. This is my third show. This is October of '89. Raking in. What does it say? Raking in a Dead concert. It smells absolutely horrible.
Dude, you could sell that on eBay for like $5,000, bro. Right, Brian?
Here's the thing. If I put the shirt on, it'll just disintegrate. So but it has the dates on the back. This was East Rutherford, 89. Now, the reason this shirt is of significance to me, as I said, it was my third show. And if you guys recall, it was the show that not to bring a somber, turn here, but the kid Adam Katz was killed by security at that show.
Horrible.
And I remember we went to the show and the vibes was so bad. Security was like beating up everyone in the parking lot.
Yep.
And then as we were coming out of the show, we literally walked over this overpass and his body was covered with a sheet. Yep. So I held on to that shirt, it was my third show, but also just because of the, I guess, significance of that particular show. And
horrible. Yeah. For those that may not know that, the Adam Katz tragedy, it's a very, very sad story. Adam Katz was a Grateful Dead fan. He was at the show at the Meadowlands. Maybe he was a little high. He got into some sort of I guess situation with the bouncers, and back then they were hiring like football teams to be bouncers. It was very different than it is now. They were basically hiring, real bruisers who didn't really know the audience or anything. And I guess one thing led to the other, and they put Adam Katz in a van. They gave him a horrific beating to the point of unconsciousness and threw him out of the van onto the highway. And the kid passed away, and it was no one was ever brought to trial. It was never solved. It was a really horrific, sad situation in Grateful Dead land.
It was football season, so they had the guys who typically, are there for the football games managing a drunk crowd, and they just did not get the vibe. No.
Well, I think right, Brian. It's like we can relate in so much as a lot of the early shows we used to play when I was in Antidote or when you were doing your early band, Brian. sometimes these places, they would hire people that just are not familiar with like people are slam dancing, and
Totally.
I've seen
Overreacting, it gets out of hand. It's the same thing happens at Dead or Fish shows, where if you don't know that audience, it can be probably like, you're like, whoa, this is getting out of control. You're like, nah, this place will regulate itself. Like we all know how to handle this. But as soon as that other element comes in, it can make things go sideways fast.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, towards the end of Dead, when it got so big, where there was more people outside than inside, that was bound to happen. At some point. Unfortunately, those last few tours, honestly, the last almost decade had a lot of that.
You were at that Highgate '95 show.
Yeah. Went both years in a row. Where '94 was super beautiful and like everyone had a great time. '95, the gates came down. There was a mile of trash and broken bottles all around it. Like it was chaos.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that show. Our friend that we grew up with here in Manhattan, Eric Ziegenfeld, passed away at that show.
Oh, wow.
That was and that was he died at the show. And that was on the.
There was a lot of dark vibes around that time, man. It was tough. '95 was just that summer tour was a nightmare. But it was. I still have good memories of the people I was with and friends I was there. But man, there was definitely a different feeling.
Sure, Tristan, you pull a record out, will you?
Well, I saw the chat there, so I mean, I guess if there's one album you probably want to have, it's American Beauty. I mean, just absolute masterpiece.
American Beauty, American Reality, and it's what I always kind of looked at. It's how would you say it? Its companion piece would be Working Man's Dead. I really right. I mean, those two records go hand in hand. They're.
Those you can tell they were hanging out with Crosby, Stills, and Nash a bunch. Getting into that, sort of California country sound.
Harmonies.
Exactly. I'm sure though that some of it they talk about how budgets got so crazy on the first few records because they did have unlimited studio time from Warner Brothers, that this one they were like, we owe them so much money, we got to get in and bang it out, grab the acoustics, let's do this, man. No more sounds of thick air like the old records.
Hey, shouting out Hoya Rock, formerly of Mabo. What's up?
You're always dropping the Tuscaninis. That was the old ice cream store I worked at with Matt Henderson back in the day.
Wait, excuse me? You worked at an ice cream store with Matt Henderson?
Totally, in Boston and Cambridge. When he was up there, he just started recording some stuff, and I was off tour from Overcast, broke his shit, needed a job, walked into an ice cream store to get some coffee, and there's Matt Henderson behind the counter, just like, "Yo, I got you a job." I was like, "All right."
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's
way of dropping the Tuscaninis in the chat. That's great.
Yeah, Matt. We love you, Hoya, and I hope you and your family are doing well, Hoya. Much love to you and your boys down in Florida. We miss you. So that's. Hey, Tristan? Do you have Reckoning in that pile?
I do, but this is an interesting one. So it's actually a different cover. They called this one. I've never seen it. It's titled "For the Faithful."
Yeah, I'm somewhat familiar with that.
It's Reckoning.
And that's the artwork that's like Reckoning on the back. That's crazy.
On the back, it is Reckoning. I don't know if this was a bootleg or something. It was very strange, but it's the same record, same songs. It has the Reckoning logo on the back, but so the music is there, but I don't have the white one with the that record really meant a lot to me because even before the Madison Square Garden shows, I was going to high school here in Manhattan, and a couple of blocks from our high school was Radio City Music Hall, and we went and slept out for tickets in 1980. We spent like the whole weekend waiting online for tickets, throwing the frisbee around, tripping, and tickets went on sale. And I got tickets for every night. And I was like I was close online. And you can see this is one of my stubs from Saturday, October 25th, row CC. And in Radio City, it starts AABBCC. So this is third row Radio City. Damn. I saw all 7 shows within the first 10 rows at Radio City. And those shows were really a watershed moment for me because
they played acoustic, and just when you're being that close up to it and seeing it that close was really mind bending. And those songs that they play, they brought back all these songs, and some of my favorite Weir stuff, Dark Hollow, Races On, Cassidy, and seeing them that close playing acoustic was really, really, really great.
That must have been incredible, man.
And that's in is it the Grateful Dead movie? No, one of the there's a movie though that has
Dead Ahead it's called.
Dead
Ahead, yeah. That's from
I used to watch that religiously and try to figure out what Jerry was doing with his fingers. I'd sit and watch it and stop it on VCR. What's the riff to a bird song? I was obsessed with figuring some of those songs out.
Yeah. Which shows did you go to with Mark Levine? A story Lou asks. I don't think I went to shows with Mark Levine, who I grew up with in Manhattan. I think it was later on, because Mark went to Boston, went to BU, and I went to Emerson. I think we started going to shows at the Boston Garden, like 82. We started going to shows in the 80s and certainly in the 90s at the Garden. And that segues into this. I'll tell you a little bit an interesting thing. The Garden in the 90s, right? These ticket stubs here, these are my ticket stubs, right? Let me tell you something about these ticket stubs, right? Right. Let me tell you something about
these mail order right there. Those are mail orders.
No, these are not mail orders. These are counterfeits. And we learned how to make counterfeit tickets, right? These are I got really good at making counterfeits.
Yeah, those look good.
And these, you know what this was at the time? This is when color laser copiers just came out, right? Wow. So you would take a mail order ticket and you'd color Xerox the front and you color Xerox the back, and you take an X-Acto knife and cut it out, and you cut the same size white in the middle, and you glue stick them together, and you perforate, and you would go to these old Madison Square Garden back then had the old timers was still working the game. The old timers, we used to go to the Knick game and the Ranger game and give them $5. Yo, you go to these old timers, they weren't looking at tickets. They couldn't give a fuck. And you would perforate. I got so good. They would put like butter. They would just pop in your hand. and I got so good at making these counterfeits. These are you look at the stars. See, you could tell how janky the stars are on the left, on the top. Those are done with an X-Acto knife, and they weren't looking at that shit. So
that was always the big thing at shows. If you're trying to get tickets, was fuck my tickets are counterfeit, dude.
No, we never did it.
Burn them to see if they did a certain thing with a lighter, you knew it was real. You're like,
is that right? What was that trick? I don't.
Yeah, you take if it turned black right away, they were real because it was they had a waxy
wax. Yeah.
So, but I definitely bought some bum tickets, but still got in with them because, like you said, they would get there. They're like, I don't care. They weren't scanning them like they are now, any of that shit. So.
Man, Drew, I was doing the same thing, but out on the left coast. Yeah. I got so good at it. I mean, I was like, I'd make them for I got so damn good at it. And I still have a ton of the stubs.
That's great.
I mean, no, and also, some people might be like, that's fucked up, You know what? The bottom line is we would get into these shows and we would hang out in the hallway and play cards. So, it's not like we were taking seats away from anybody. When the Grateful Dead broke out St. Stephen in 1982 or 83 at Madison Square Garden, whatever it was, I was in the hallway playing cards. I wasn't even fucking playing. I wasn't even watching the band. They were like, wait a second. What? St. Stephen? Ah! It was so fucked up.
I always remember that too. You'd walk the halls of the Garden, there'd be a family posted up, sleeping. You're like, what are you doing? There's people outside dying to get in, and you have all their shit everywhere. You're people
when I was following the Dead, we were going show after show, Midwest and all that. We had a running card game that just went from show to show. We would just we would just play cards during the show. I mean, I like to see the band personally. Right. I had friends that were whatever. It's, They saw hundreds of shows, hundreds.
Right.
And there was always a little bit of how do you say it? Like the word would come down that like, yo, they sound checked with this or that, yo, this might and then we'd pay a little bit of attention. But in 83, when we'd go see the Dead in St. Paul, Minnesota or Madison, Wisconsin, it was business as usual. They were punching the clock a little bit. The shows were cool, but when you've seen 20 in a row, it gets a little like, you know.
I know you had mentioned before, like Spring '90 was like probably the height of my,
100%.
fanaticism. And man, what a run!
Unreal, man. They were just on fire. And like they would jam out of songs they never jammed out of Terrapin. There'd be a whole new improv jam like each night, and it's like Brent was doing all this crazy stuff, and that was that last sort of burst of creativity. Like, they still had good shows after that, but that was the last where it's like, wow, this is going new places.
And they had brought a bunch of songs back out, like Addicts of My Life, and We Bid You Good Night, and they started playing The Wait for the first time, I think, during that run.
Yep.
And The Eyes with Branford. Of course, I had tickets to Wednesday, Friday.
Did I see that at the Nassau Coliseum? I saw that. I saw that. Yeah.
I went to the show after and the show before.
Of course. Yeah.
Story of my life, basically.
I want to say that when Bob Weir had the Bob Weir Band, and Brent Midland was the keyboard player in the Bob Weir Band. And then when Keith Gottschall left with his wife Donna, Brent Midland joined the Dead. And that was a pretty pivotal moment of the band. That really, whereas Keith Gottschall played kind of like a grand piano, when they brought Brent in, he brought all these other incredible textures to the band. Is that fair to say, Brian?
Oh yeah, he brought the world's largest organ sound into an arena. And there was Wurlitzers going everywhere like that. I mean, nothing sounds like that. Yeah. And plus that voice, that just added such an element because you just, you're like, that voice is coming out of a Muppet. It was the weirdest thing.
So gravelly, but great.
Yeah. And it's on paper. Some of his solo songs, you're like, why shouldn't be good, but I'm enjoying this because it's Brent.
And even like I said, Weir even looks at that 90 spring tour is one of the pinnacles. I think with the Dead, there's people say, what's your favorite year, this and that, but there were a bunch of really great years. Of course, there's 66, 69, 72, 74. 77.
It couldn't all sound more different though. That's what's crazy.
Yeah. And then my personal is really 80 and 81. Personally, the part of the reason because I was there and they still had a lot of youthful vigor in 80 and 81. They were kicking ass and they were still playing. The acoustic stuff was incredible and all that. Hey, that said, let me take a sponsor break. Tristan, are you hanging or do you got to go?
Yeah, no, I'll hang. I got to get better lighting in here.
You got a couple of minutes, Brian. Tristan will come back. We're gonna bring Christian on as well to join us, and we will continue on our quest. I'll see you guys in a couple minutes. That's what's up. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. It is a Bob Weir memorial show. Rest in peace, Bob Weir. We're going to keep marching at it, bring on a couple more guests, take a lot of questions from the audience, if anybody has a recollection or something like that. So thanks for stopping by. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live.
Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Will that be cash or debt?
Do you mean debit?
Yes. Sorry. Another eternally satisfied customer.
Yo, what's happening? I'm out here at one of our all-ages Sunday matinees on the Bowery. I hope that you are enjoying today's show. I just want to let you know that the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live needs your support. Please step up. There is a Patreon page that has a lot of unique program. Shows are announced there first. Lots of good stuff. There's a PayPal address right there on the screen if you want to make a contribution. There's also a super chat function. You could do that. But the bottom line is this show exists because of your support. We're going to be doing it for a long, long time. Thank you for all your support through the years. Back to the show.
Conditioned by indoctrination, conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Conditioned by misinformation, it's just the media telling us lies. Decipher fiction from the truth. Society's slow and tragic demise. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Everyone's got their
And we're back. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live memorial tribute to the late, great Bob Weir, someone that brought much joy to many, many, many people. Rest in peace, Ace. Hey, want to mention some upcoming shows. This Sunday, John Gallagher from Raven will be on the show. A couple days after that, Rob Castoria, some home cooking. Wednesday, February 4th, Howard Wolfing, musician and author, has a new book out. Pepper Keenan, co-hosted by Laurie Dawn, of course, from Corrosion of Conformity and Down. From Los Lobos, Steve Berlin will be on Wednesday, February 18th. Yo, our good buddy Chris Wren has a new book out, Fenway Park, How a Boston Indie Label Scored Big on Baseball's Greatest Rivalry, Sunday, February 22nd. Yo, Wayne from Hatebreed, speaking of heavy and hard, Sunday, March 1st. Steve Blush has a new book out, When Rock Met Hip Hop. That's Sunday, March 8th. Just announced this the other day. An old New York City pal, Frank Farrar, will be on, who just left Guns N' Roses after 15 years. He is the longest tenured Guns N' Roses drummer. Great, great, great guy. Bill Stevenson from The Descendants, All Black Flag and Flag, Sunday, March 22nd. And Joey from DOA has a film, documentary out, Something Better Change. He'll be on along with Scott Crawford and our old friend Paul Rackman, who directed American Hardcore, talking about this film. You got some bangers coming up, Drew. Yo, I'm not sure how this happened, but the show has gotten a lot easier to book. People want to come on the show. People want to do the show. People see the value in being on the show. So it's gotten somewhat easier, which is really interesting. And also, I could not do it without your support. There's a Patreon link there. I want to shout out latest patrons, current patrons, Mark Borg of the Borg Collective, Karen H., Mark Lipschutz, and of course, Paula Blandford. Thank you for being patrons and supporting the show. That's really the only way that this thing can continue. So thank you. There's a PayPal address there if you want to make a contribution. I want to shout out Johanna Nuevo, who made a little bit of a donation. Yo, there's also a super chat function that you could do in the chat room. All your donations are really appreciated. No one's getting rich here, but we're able to stay focused on the show. And thank you so much. All these years. Yo, shouting out. Yo, you know what? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you, yo, I got to tell you about Minty Fresh. Minty Fresh has this great show coming up in Jersey, and we happen to be playing it. And Minty Fresh presents are a promotional company that put on hardcore metal shows at Locals Bar in Manalapan, New Jersey. Founded by Chris Golis of Bulldoze and Frankie DeAngelis of Silence Equals Death. The shows are all ages with plenty of free parking. The kitchen's open all night and the bar's open till 2 a.m. If you're a band looking to play and you don't totally fucking suck, or if you do suck and you draw a fuckload of people, reach out to them at mintyfreshpresents@gmail.com. Ticket pre-sales for events are available at mintyfreshnewjersey.com. Check them out on Instagram at mintyfreshnewjersey and help spread the word to support DIY hardcore metal in Central New Jersey. Minty Fresh Presents. That's what's up. Our latest sponsor. Welcome aboard and thank you for being a part of everything. Chris and Frankie. Yeah, a lot of homies on that bill, right? Great bill. Tristan, you ready to play this? Are you worried? Are you scared?
I'm just concerned. Do we suck? I love the pitch. Like if you don't suck.
No. If you don't suck, boy, but if you do suck and you draw a lot of people, we'll make that work too.
Hopefully we're firing. Yeah.
Listen, we don't suck. I know that.
All right.
Yeah, pond scum. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if Danny Schuler's involved in it too. Right on. Danny Schuler from Biohazard is part of it too. Pond Scum, love the name. Got to check them out. With a name like Pond Scum, like you kind of better not suck. You would think they suck, but
good name.
Yeah. Scott Earth. Speaking of Jersey, those guys are playing their record release show after that. So, yep. That said, let's clear the deck. Let's bring on once again Brian Fair from Shadows Fall. Hey. I want to bring on. Let me clear the deck here.
War Within record, by the way.
Oh,
one more what?
Thank you.
I had that. Was that the first record?
No, but that was kind of a breakthrough record
that was
for us.
So, yeah.
We'd been around for a little bit before that, but that was when things kind of. I still look at that as when we finally figured out like what we wanted to do, and that was the one.
Yeah, that was a great record.
Oh, thank you, man.
Hey, Brian, we got to get you on the show to as like and talk about this band that you play in.
We're finally finishing up the new album, which we've been working on for way longer than we expected to. So it's tough when one of your guitar players is in the Big Four touring with Anthrax. So it kind of, his day job keeps him away.
Right.
But we're finally getting it done. So we'll have some shit to talk about soon.
What part of Massachusetts are you from? Larry Kelly's asking?
Yeah, I was born in Framingham, but then I moved to Boston, went to Boston University and stayed there. But now I'm actually living in St. Louis. My wife's from here, and it's a lot cheaper to live in St. Louis than it is in Boston these days.
Oh, you're in St. Louis right now?
Yep. Yeah, so I'm in the Lou.
Better barbecue there too.
Exactly. Yes. I was vegetarian for a long time, and it's funny how quick that changed when I got out here.
Let me bring on our next guest. Please welcome. He's one of the rare breed that has straddled both the hardcore punk and Grateful Dead scenes and has a great perspective on both. He's the host of the Talk About the Passion podcast, which I have been on. Please welcome, coming at us from Raintham.
Rentham.
Where'd Drew go?
Hey,
there he
is.
Sorry,
the Verizon outage get you too.
It's a little bit like the Brady Brunch, Hey, Christian, how are you, buddy?
Up, guys? Rentham, Mass. Which is,
Rentham.
Yeah, I'm from north of Boston, but I've been down here for about a decade. I'm about 15 minutes from where I saw my first show.
Which was
7-289 in Foxborough.
Foxborough, right?
I saw a couple Foxborough shows.
Yeah.
The thing about Foxborough that was always fucked, there's like one road going in and one back then there was one road going in and one road going out.
It's still that way for Patriots games and concerts.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Fucking nightmare. You just see 1,000 dudes just pissing along the street or pissing into like Dunkin' Donuts cups and throwing them out.
Yeah. I remember like we got caught in that one year and we're like stuck on that road for literally 3-4 hours trying to get the hell out of there.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next year we ran out of there during the encore and made a run for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What encore was it? Black Muddy River? Yeah, I can miss this one.
Yeah, 89 was my first, and I had been into hardcore going to hardcore shows for about 5 years at that point. And I liked the Dead a little. But when I was like 11 or 12, my brother had Reckoning.
Yeah.
Which I think is like the perfect record now. If I ever want to get someone into the Dead that isn't into them, that's like a gateway. But like the Bobby songs on there, like the Monkey and the Engineer and the Race Is On. I just thought he had this like fun personality.
Yeah. That was a big one for me. Your podcast, you deal a lot with sort of both of the communities and cultures, right? Could you give us a little take on that?
Yeah. I was initially doing like straight up interviews, sort of, where'd you grow up? How'd you get into hardcore and that kind of thing. But I had everyone on here from, local guys, Slapshot. I did one of the last ones Eddie Sutton did. And he talked a lot about his health at the time, and Enoch Skeeter from Scream has been on here. He's a good friend of mine.
Yep.
But in the last year, I've sort of switched it over to a YouTube video channel. Now I kind of talk about vinyl and records, and right now I'm doing a thing where I'm talking about music from every year I've been alive, which is I'm on like 74 and I was born in 69, so it's going to take a while to get through. But yeah, so that's. But I've talked a little. I had Brian on, and we talked a little bit about the Dead, maybe more about Fish.
Yeah, I think we got into the Fish a little bit deeper on that one. So.
I think is a dirty word for some of the older heads.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that crossover in '95 wasn't exactly the smoothest thing. A lot of deadheads came over on the Fish tour just to make a mess after Jerry died, and it was definitely a time.
Yeah. Tristan, you had that shirt. I had that. I when you showed that shirt, I went to my phone for like 20 minutes. I had that same exact shirt. I was at.
No way.
That was my second show, 10/16/89, and
Wow.
And my buddy and I, because that was before the internet, so you would we booked a hotel in New Jersey,
Right.
and we ended up walking like through a swamp. I think we walked across the turnpike, through a swamp. And then to find out, that poor guy got killed. We probably walked right through there.
Yeah.
But that show to this day that was Bob Weir's 42nd birthday. And that show, the second set of that was when, if you remember, the week before they had brought Dark Star back, Help Slip Franklin, Addicts in My Life. And this show, even when I listen to it now, that second set, you hear the usual of them like sort of tuning, and then the crowd, and just this silence happens for like 1 second, and then Jerry plays the opening, the Dark Star, and I still, even talking about it now, my arm,
wow,
hair, because that was my second show. I got a Dark Star.
I mean, they would be the first to tell you that they always brought it in New York City.
Yeah.
It really, and I saw well over 100 shows between Madison Square Garden, Brendan Byrne Arena, and the Nassau Coliseum.
Yeah,
I just saw it was in my later years. I didn't travel that much because I kind of didn't need to, and the allure, of traveling. If I was going to travel, it would be with bands I was working with or managing or whatever. And the days of sort of just slogging it from show to show. I sort of did that when I was very young and had a great adventure doing it.
Yeah.
But in the later years, one of the great things about living in the tri-state area is they'd come on an East Coast tour, and we see one show in Worcester, see one show in Connecticut, see two at the Garden, see Jersey. You'd see 6 shows on a tour, and you could sleep in your bed at night. That was one of the great things about being
Northeast Deadheads had it easy back then. 4 show runs in Boston, 4 show runs in New York. But that was the time.
Yeah,
I want to our Josh from Hardcore Legends Trading Cards made
for the occasion of the show, made a couple of Bob Weir cards today.
Nice.
Pretty cool. That's one of them. And the back, I mean, Josh does his homework. The back is really incredible. I mean, here is the back of the card, really chock full of information, man. You know,
Wow.
I mean, yeah. It's estimated that Bob played over 4,500 concerts as a member of the Grateful Dead, and that total is even larger when counting all the Grateful Dead adjacent bands he performed with after the death of Jerry Garcia in 1995. In the summer of 2025, he was diagnosed with cancer, which he seemed to have beaten, but passed away due to an underlying lung condition. The passing leaves Bill, the drummer Kreutzmann, as the only living member of the band to have played on the 1967 self-titled debut album. This is true.
All right.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, Josh, you did a great job, man.
Good guy, Josh.
Yeah. Good job, Josh.
It's funny. I thought of that. I was like, I wonder if he's going to do a Bob Weir New York hardcore. If ever there was something insane, it's that, right? Bob Weir New York hardcore trading card.
And here's it. Oh, you know what?
Awesome.
I've got a question for the audience. Does anybody know what the Bob Weir and New York hardcore connection is? If you do, because there is a connection between New York hardcore and Bob Weir. So if you know that, feel free to post it in the chat room. We'll see if anybody comes up with this. It should be interesting. And it's a true connection.
Another punk connection is Welnick, right? He was from the Tubes.
That's
which
right.
I mean, it's not like hard, but they were punkish, I guess, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. They're in that art rock sort of Devo way, you know.
Yeah. Which I thought was such an odd choice at the time, but
yeah, it really it's strange they end up with, because they could have had anyone fill that seat. Although the one they wanted, I guess, was Hornsby, and he was like, "Yeah, I know you guys too well to actually join your band. Like, I'll sit in when I feel like it." But Vince was a weird choice, and I always felt bad for him because it just, he never got kind of comfortable, and then fans weren't exactly the nicest to him.
Yeah,
and then a tragic ending too. It's like,
oh, really, 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 really sad. Christian, what'd you think of Vince Welnick as a choice there?
Yes, same here. We went and saw him, those Madison Square Garden shows. Because I think they debuted in Europe first, right? Did they do Europe and then come here and do MSG? I think
they did MSG with Welnick, and Hornsby joined halfway through the run.
Okay.
Then
we thought he was all right, but the really good show that we saw him with. And it was probably more because of Hornsby, was those giant stadium shows in '91. There was that one they opened the first set with Eyes, and they sort of weaved Dark Star little teases through it.
Yeah, never played it, but just kept segueing through it. Great show. Great show.
But I was such a huge Brent fan that it was tough. It was tough. It was really tough when he died. I'm glad I got to shows in '89 and '90. I probably got about a dozen shows.
At the time when Welnick joined, I wasn't a big fan. He had to sort of find a place because Hornsby was in the band, and Hornsby was playing piano. He was playing like a grand piano. So Welnick ended up sort of having to find these textures. I wouldn't call that a synthesizer that he was playing, but it was like an electric piano, and his sounds were very like circusy and
it wasn't
the rumor has it that they didn't let him even pick his own patches, that they like gave him some cheap ass little thing, and the sound guy was controlling a lot of it. So can you imagine you hit a keyboard and all of a sudden it sounds like some like some weird circus sound or some plinky plunky thing, and you're like, fuck, what am I doing here, man?
And how do I fit in? But I will say this when he joined and I saw them play, that they had the background vocals down, and the singing was really good with Hornsby and Welnick. I remember like all the stuff, the background vocal stuff was really good. It was a different band. It really was a different band. But in the last whatever bunch of years have learned to really love Vince Welnick's piano playing when Hornsby left the band. Then he was playing more piano, and I love his style of piano. So on a lot of the later stuff, 92, 93, 94, even 95, I love hearing his style and his flavor as a piano player on a lot of stuff like Ramble on Rose and stuff like. I really like him as a piano player.
He did some heavy lifting then too, because Jerry was deciding some nights just to like turn down and not even really try. The only thing I still can't forgive Vince is towards the end, every show I went to, I caught A Long Way to Go Home, and I'm like, I never want to hear that fucking song again in my life. It's not as bad as Somber in the Rain, maybe, but it's close. Like, and every single show I caught, they played that song.
Bro.
Yeah. There was a couple painful ones, like
there's tough. At least you go take a piss, find your friends, you know. Like.
I love Samba. I love A Way to Go Home. I love
really?
it.
See, I guess it's because they hit me with it every time, and I'm like, it's a long way to the bathroom. I'll be back. Like, I'm out of here.
But this is all in retrospect, right? Like in the moment, I hated. I really didn't care for that stuff. But years later, I've grown to appreciate. I love Way to Go Home. I really do. But
so I'm gonna have to revisit. So, but I've learned to like a lot of songs I didn't. Where like "Foolish Heart" might be one of my favorite songs to go listen to now. And like, it's such a great song. And at the time, I was like, "Oh, it's good," you know. But I wanted to hear "Wharf Rat" and I wanted to hear the other one and all that, you know. But now, I'm like, give me a Picasso Moon. Give me a, you know.
it was when Phil first did "Broken Arrow." And I was like, I didn't know it was a Robbie Robertson song. And I'm like, what the fuck? They're doing Rod Stewart songs now?
They were doing some weird covers at the end there. Like Bob
there were some weird covers that maybe didn't need to go there. Like,
well, Vince Welnick brought a lot of those weird covers and those Beatles covers to the band because he was in a Beatles cover band before he joined the Dead. So he had the whole repertoire of Beatles songs. And those guys were good enough that they could do Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds or Rain. I mean, obviously, if you listen to the shit, obviously it was all unrehearsed. You know, it was like
he was excited backstage. Oh, let's try the Who tonight, and you're like, no, O'Reilly,
or I Fought the Law. Oof. So,
but you gotta love it. You gotta love it. You know?
So the question about the New York hardcore connection is that Astoria Lou got it. And it's that this guy right here, this is Cause for Alarm, and this is Chris Cherokee singing for Cause for Alarm, and Chris Cherokee from Cause for Alarm, he ended up being Bob. He worked his way up, and here's a shot of me and him and another old school New York hardcore guy, Booby. This is us backstage at a further show at Citi Field. Rest in peace, Chris Cherokee. So Chris Cherokee has an incredible story. He got out of the New York hardcore thing. He went to San Francisco. He was looking for work. He ended up getting a gig as a loader at the Warfield, like loading shit in the back of the Warfield. Then he sort of graduated to like on the audio team. He was like a third audio guy, like coiling cables. Bottom line is he worked his way up to, he ended up being Weir's guy. He was Weir's road manager. He ran the show, and he was Weir's fucking guy. Here's a shot of me and Cherokee on the Letterman show. We were backstage and we went and hung on the Letterman show. Here's us sitting at the desk and having a pisser there. I got a full beard there, and Cherokee was a good guy. He was a beloved guy, but really, really interesting character who worked his way up. He was a New York hardcore kid who ended up being Bob Weir's guy. Hey, I want to shout out Gail Guthrie. Thank you, everyone, for doing this. Deadhead from Tacoma, Washington. We're everywhere, not fade away. Absolutely. Tacoma, Washington in the house. The Dead played some great shows in the Northeast, up all the way up there. That was their, that was their sweet spot. A lot of those
I like Larry Kelly's comment here above. The East Coast shows and the West Coast shows are practically two different bands.
I guess that's true, huh?
I saw them the February '90 shows, the Chinese New Year shows, and you can find this on YouTube. It's 225.90. They did estimated profit, and Bob was just very happy that night. But at one point he was kind of running back and forth across the stage doing his. But he got on the drum riser and jumped off the drum riser, which was pretty amazing.
Doing youth crew jumps, you know.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
I saw some footage that was going around with all the Bob tributes where he actually climbed on this speaker thing with his guitar during a Sugar Mag right before the Sunshine Daydream, and I'm just like, please stage dive, you know, like knowing it's not going to happen, but I was like, oh come on, man, like.
Well, that's what I was talking about when I saw him carry that band.
Yeah,
like I that era, I saw those shows. I don't think I was at the show where he climbed up the scaffolding, but there were shows where I saw him go like almost into the audience, go in front of the like really entertain, really put on a hell of a friggin' and meanwhile, you know, the other guys were like nodding out in their soup, you know, and another thing, I found this great picture. We mentioned the Dead were known for a lot of their equipment stuff, but here's a shot of Weir's guitars, and you see a couple of the real great ones there. The one that really, and I'll pull out another shot of it. It's in the front towards the left. It's that Ibanez that he played with the inlay. Yeah. And I remember the pink one, and I guess those other ones are moduluses. He played all those moduluses later on. Yeah. But I think he kept most of his guitars. Yeah, I remember the pink one.
Yeah. He had such a weird sound sometimes where it was almost like metallic, but not in a crunchy metal way. It was actually sounded like metal. You know, like it was brittle. Brittle. That's brittle is a good way to describe it. But
you know,
it worked so well, like in the mix of what they were doing.
You know, I feel like he really spit the bit in like 93, 90. His guitar, he had the worst guitar sound.
It's so much like flange and phaser on it too, where you're like, but not in a psychedelic way, just in.
It was bad, man.
In a drier, like a
I don't know what he was thinking. It didn't sound like a guitar. It sounded like it was. Look, love Weir, love the Dead, but I gotta say, his sound was horrible.
He could take its places. Yeah.
Hey, I know you passed, Bob, but I'm just saying, bro. Like,
you really fucked up at the end. Have you guys heard? There's a YouTube thing out there. It's just Bob's guitar solo. Dude, it is insane. I listened to it one night and I was like, I'm just gonna try to figure out what song they're playing. What's on the guitar?
Yeah.
And what he is fucking crazy. It's insane.
I saw it and I was going to use a clip of it to open the show. I didn't get to it but I actually was going to use a clip of that. It's really incredible. It's like his isolated guitar tracks. Yeah.
Because I think of all the members of the band, like when the jams are happening, he's the hardest to identify exactly what he's doing. Where, you know, Jerry, Phil, drums, you could hear it. And then when you actually hear the way he's coloring every song, it's crazy. And when he does what I think Brian said it before, what he chooses not to play.
Yeah.
That's why we said guessing the song to that is a fun exercise, because he'll just appear and you'll just get a few weird little jabs and little stabs. And then then all of a sudden he'll play the riff. You're like, oh shit, I had no idea they were playing like Road Jimmy or like Peggy-O or something. You know,
he'll play some like weird off time diminished chord, and you'll be like, what was that? And then you're like, oh, okay,
some janks here and there.
Yeah, and I have to throw this in the mix too. The guy literally learned how to play slide guitar on stage.
Better or worse, he was learning on stage.
Like literally in the late 70s and into the 80s, he literally learned how to play slide guitar, and some of it was really painful.
Dude, there are some of those Bobby Blues songs where Brent will do this amazing organ solo, and then they cut to just like 8 bars of Bobby just like squealing at the highest pitch possible, and Jerry almost like hip checks him out of the way, like, "All right, kid, like let me clean this up here," and just start solo, and you're like, it could be rough, but
I mean, he eventually really got it somewhat.
Yeah.
But those are the shows that I was hardcoring it in. Like, 80, 81, 82, night after night. Some of it was rough, man.
Well, that's the thing about being on psychedelics. It's not the scary, trippy part. It's when Bobby's trying to play fucking, walking blues and doing slide guitar, and you're just like, I can't do this, man.
Or Red Rooster.
Rooster, yeah.
Wang Dang Doodle. What was your guys' thoughts on those songs? Like,
I don't skip them per se, but they're skippers, they are. Like, I've heard enough Bobby Blues to last me the rest of my life. And in the shows, I remember just like, kind of like, all right, let's get to, Jerry Ballad's at least like 2 spots away. You're like, come on.
Yeah. Wang Dang Doodle, I liked a lot. I always thought that was a good one.
Hey, I want to shout out someone I grew up with, someone very near and dear to my heart. She was part of, we all grew up in the Bronx together, and loved the Grateful Dead early on. And that's Sherry Seagull. I went to, she's in the chat room, and we went to PS 141 together, and our whole crew of kids in that era loved the Grateful Dead and I do remember, and Sherry and her crew really back then, late in the late, they loved Todd Rundgren. That was, those girls loved Todd Rundgren.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Those Weir songs were very interchangeable, and I sort of have those. I have notes of like, people talk about Hunter Garcia, but there's some Weir Barlow songs that really, really are beloved by many people. And sure, there's the Hunter Garcia stuff, and that stuff transcends all space and time.
Yeah,
Jack Straw. I mean,
well, Weir co-wrote that, but as far as like and I'll ask you guys, like, my favorite, the Weir songs that still to this day really, really I love still that he co-wrote, sang, like New Potato Caboose. To me, that's the one song I wish they would have brought back, later on. But New Potato Caboose, Feel Like a Stranger, Black Throated Wind, One More Saturday Night, the other one, Jack Straw, Estimated Profit, Victim of the Crime, Trucking, Lost Sailor, Saint of Circumstance. Now, he sang these other ones, but they were some of my favorites. Dark Hollow, Monk and the Engineer, Race is On. I mean, those are, some of the ones that I really, really loved. And then for me, I have honorable mentions. Music Never Stopped.
You name it
like
all.
Rain.
Keep going.
Cassidy, Throwing Stones, Mexicali Blues, Sugar Mag, Playing in the Band, Greatest Story Ever Told, I Need a Miracle, Lazy Night Lightning, Let It Grow. And then, are you ready? Bummers. Bummers, right? These are songs that just I kind of getting to understand what they were doing a little bit.
Yeah,
I feel like Weir would play something to death. He would go the road. He'd go down the beaten path. Whereas I think Garcia would sort of throw caution to the wind and sort of pull something out of the bag. Like, a lot of times, if you know the Dead and what they were doing, you'd see where it was going.
Yeah.
It would start with a Jerry song, a Bob song, and then you sort of see them paint themselves into a corner, and you'd be able to go, yeah, they're going to do this next and that next. And a lot of times, Garcia would pull something out of left field, but Weir didn't do that a lot. Weir would go and play Around and Around again, or Promised Land, or El Paso, or Me and My Uncle, or Mexicali Blues, or Minglewood Blues, or Good Lovin'. And like, those got to be a little brutal for me personally.
Bummers.
What's that?
No, I love you call them
Bummers.
Bummers.
Yeah. Wasn't Me and My Uncle the most played Grateful Dead song? It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was Mama Tried on your list? He sang
No.
that one too, right?
Mama
Yeah.
Tried. No, that didn't make my list. But yeah.
When they played that in more recent times, that was like cool to hear. I thought
Yeah.
Mama Tried
Yeah.
was a good one.
Yeah. Brother Esau, that's a good song.
Oh, Brother
Yeah.
Esau's-
Brother
so-
Esau's an interesting one. I
Yeah.
mean, any of
Nope,
that makes sense.
Esau.
Brian, any weird favorites for you that really
I was a
stuck-
big Music Never Stops guy, but it was because of the second jam when they would get all weird when it comes out of the, the last chorus before they bring it back. And I love that, like the Jerry playing in that. I was a sucker for It Looks Like Rain too, though. Like I always loved it because again, Jerry at the end would get into those crazy little, arpeggio things. I was a Weir guy. Like I love it all. I also credit him as being one of the first high-pitched death metal singers ever. He had that Carcass voice before Carcass. Like he would hit those screams at the end of like Saturday Night or whatever, and I'm like, dude, that's proto death metal, man. Like, got to give him his props. And I also love that he wasn't afraid to sing falsetto when he couldn't sing falsetto. Like he didn't care.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna do it.
Hell in a bucket. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I got a bummer for you, but Christian just said it. Opening with Hell in a Bucket.
Yeah,
It's
here we
just
go.
like, oh,
Remember
this
they
show's
used to call
gonna
the
be
Heaven
one
and
of
Hell
those.
shows where they'd open with Hell in a Bucket and close with what was the Heaven song I'm thinking of?
Ashes, Throwing Stones.
Throwing Stones, yeah.
I was around when they first started playing those songs, like in '82 and all that. So seeing them like start like basically learning those songs on stage, those songs got a little tired, for me personally. But one of the great things about this band, and I think it could probably be said about music in general, is a lot of the songs that are bummers probably at one point were like amazing.
Oh yeah.
From banger to bummer.
Yeah. and then back again.
Yeah.
I'm looking through the records for more bummers, by the way.
Yeah.
There's definitely some stuff that didn't make the live rotation that would qualify in the bummer lane, especially on the those later studio albums. There's a few you're like, there's a reason some of these didn't make it on a stage.
Yeah.
Well, there's the notorious sort of money from Mars Hotel.
Yep.
That sort of was.
Money.
They played that 4 times and like it had to get shelved.
Yeah. It wasn't necessarily a Bob song, but like Day Job was a rough one too. Keep Your Day Job. That was a rough too.
Oh, I remember that. And Phil's Wave to the Wind.
Oh, Wave to the Wind is dead.
That was brutal.
Yeah.
It was. We're crossing over into general bummerness here, but it was another one that got to be really brutal in a bummer was Don't Ease Me In.
Yeah.
I'm on the fence
I like
about
Deal as
that.
a closer, but
It's like anytime they did Don't Ease Me In, it was like, we got to get out of here. Let's just do this and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about One More Saturday Night. Like as soon as you heard the lick, you're like, you know what's going to happen on a Saturday show, but then it's like, show's over.
Is that right, Sherry? Sherry says Addicts of My Life from American Beauty. Ugh.
Wow.
Wow.
No, that one I can't. That one I can't. That is in my banger column, not bummer.
Did you say playing in the band? Was that on your list?
It was an honorable mention.
Well, because
you got some good ones on your honorable mention.
Yeah, Cassidy's an honorable mention. Cassidy's like the pinnacle, like body thing.
Yeah,
those are in the best of for sure.
Yeah.
Looks Like Rain is on your men's amends.
And playing is like a jumping point. The best thing about playing is it's like the actual body of the song's like 2 minutes, and then it's like 46 minutes of like.
Exactly. That's what it is, just a launching pad. But even that there's some licks in playing that are just some of my favorite little Jerry runs, like on the main riff there. Someone mentioned Masterpiece, and as far as Bobby covers go, Masterpiece is up there, man. So
I like his Dylan
as a bummer.
No, as a good.
You know what? Here I'll tell you what. This show.
Easy Answers. Holy shit! How do we forget Easy Answers? Yeah, Easy Answers.
All right.
As bad as it gets.
Easy.
What was the other one when I said
I have it, Tristan. I'm looking for a picture to go with it. I have a picture to go for it. Because I was at Laguna Seca, and I took this picture of Laguna Seca in '87. It was Ry Cooder, Bruce Hornsby, and the Dead, and they played. Yeah, it was Desolation Row, and it was fantastic. It was Weir was. It was odd. Weir would screw up the words to Trucking and songs he wrote, but then you'd see him. He'd sing Desolation Row and remember every single lyric. And you'd be like, what the fuck?
Verses or whatever. Yeah.
All 30 verses.
Oh, you know, it was another great Dylan song that Weir used to sing? Queen Jane, approximately.
Yeah, Queen Jane's great.
I saw that.
Me and Bobby McGee too, right? On
he did that.
Is when they did Masterpiece, one of the highlights of that was always Jerry's like backing vocals on that were always great.
There's a few acoustic versions of Jerry singing Masterpiece that are awesome.
Nice.
On some of those Garcia Khan, like just duo shows, he would do that, and it's
say it,
heart wrenching.
Did you guys see those Jerry Garcia band shows in '89 when Weir and Wasserman opened with those acoustic sets? That was great. Those were fun.
I did not see any of those.
Yeah, I saw
Rat Dog, and Jerry Garcia band.
I did see Jerry Garcia band in 1980, which was a really great band, and he did Masterpiece, and he sang it, and it was fantastic. And those were the very rare shows that he had Robert Hunter come up and do a couple songs. They did Promontory Rider, and they did Promontory Rider and Tiger Rose and Garcia. A very rare instance where Garcia and Hunter actually played together.
Yeah.
And listen, you might think you're hard, but
Daisy Duke's hard.
You're nowhere near as hard as this guy. All right.
No way.
Right.
Everything I know is from Bob Weir.
Yeah. I learned a lot from Bob Weir.
Oh, for sure.
I did. I learned a lot from Bob Weir as far as being a performer, and then as far as playing guitar goes, and being a rhythm guitar player.
Well, your slide playing sounds a lot like his.
Yeah. Well, he just did so much unorthodox stuff. You know, it wasn't just straightforward rhythm. He did all weird, unorthodox stuff, and I dig it. You know, it's good. Oh, Mobile, Stuck Inside a Mobile. That's the other one.
I love.
He beat that to death, man.
Yeah.
Dude, he beat that fucking song to death, man.
Oh, someone mentioned Eternity. That was another tough one. There could be some good jams out of it, but that was a tough one. It was that was when they were set to stun, like they're just slow vibe. You know, you'd go from that, and
what about Karina?
That was that similar kind of vibe.
Painful.
Painful.
There
was almost doing like a How Soon Is Now guitar part that like, but it's just never anywhere, and you're just like, just lumbering along.
A non-Weir bummer for me was, and I loved mostly all the Brent songs, especially like Far From Me and Easy to Love You, and this, but I Will Take You Home, which we used to call I Will Now Go Get a Hot Dog.
Brutal.
It's
brutal.
It just didn't fit because they'd come out. It would always come out of space too, and you're like, man, we were just in another universe, and now we just got a piano ballad like torch song.
I felt bad just liking it because it was like about his daughter, but I'm like,
totally. Like, sorry, man. Yeah.
Hey, Bob Weir, I know you're watching. I'm sorry, we're running all the Grateful Dead songs through the ringer, but we love you.
Yeah. Hey, part of being a Deadhead is complaining about how they played. Like that's part of what it is. Like,
Long Way to Go Home, aka I Am Going Home. well done.
Yeah.
Hey, Lee, is that you? I didn't put it together. Is that you? My buddy from Fire Island? Is that your neighbor from Fire Island, Lee?
Yeah, is that my neighbor, Lee?
Lee, is that you? Is this the Bob Weir roast? Yeah, it kind of is. Listen, Bob Weir will get a chuckle out of it. See, I'm a little bit older. You know what? I remember when Donna was in the band, and whenever Donna would do a song, the place would empty.
Yeah, like
everybody would go to the bathroom or go get a beer. Like anytime Donna would do like France or From the Heart of Me, people would just bail mercilessly.
Her backing vocals with the Garcia band, I thought were much better.
Yeah. Well, those early days, she was trying to sing over the wall of sound and all the volume, but she didn't have a chance. But it's weird because even when you'd be annoyed by the scream and like playing when it's not there, I still hear it.
Yeah,
it's such a part of the song.
Yeah. So there's some dancing in the streets, I want to say, on some like 77 that are painful for me.
Yeah.
Like it got to a point, depending. Sometimes she was great, but
yeah.
Lost Sailor, Saint of Circumstance. You know,
I'm a fan. I can't. They did a lot. I'm a fan. I love it.
You're a fan because you didn't in 80, 81, 82, you didn't see them play at every show and mercilessly beat the song to death.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I love it now. I can dig it. But you know what's interesting? He never brought back Lost Sailor.
No, they just kept staying. Well, because Lost Sailor is the weirdest song. It doesn't make any sense that it's a song even. Like, it's so bizarre, but it's amazing. Like,
It's
only the dead could get away with that, like that tune.
Yeah. I mean, I saw him. That's what I mean. Weir would paint himself into a corner, and then it would be like, fuck, Lost Sailor, here we go. You know, it would happen all the or like it's the end of the set. Ah, fuck, here we go. You know, Promised Land.
Yeah.
But he was great.
himself into the corner.
What did you guys think of how Weir sang the Jerry songs with Dead and Company?
It could get weird because of the timing. I didn't even mind his voice on him. It was the changing the phrasing, which I'm sure was because him playing guitar the way he did. He couldn't sing the timing with it. Yeah. But that's what would get me. I didn't even mind the tone of his voice sometimes, or But it was that because you're trying to sing Morning Dew along to like Morning Dew, and then he would totally change it. Yeah. But I'm glad that they kept those songs though in the repertoire. Yeah. That would have been, if it was just the Bobby Show, that would I don't know if it would have done as well as it did through the years.
Did you guys see any of the later iterations after the Grateful Dead? And which ones did you like and why?
I saw the other ones. I saw the Dead, and I saw some further. So I pretty much and Dead and Company. So I pretty much saw them. But there was a run with Jimmy Herring, and there was another guitar player, and I think that was actually.
I think it was Kimmock.
Yeah, and I think that might have been the Dead. I forget which one it was, and I remember seeing that at Great Woods, and that was incredible.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, all of those were fun, man, because they weren't silly. They've got some heavy hitters to play guitar, and just at that time to get to see any sort of iteration of it was awesome. So
yeah. Phil and Friends in '99, I think, was really good when they had Steve Kimmock playing guitar.
Kimmock was unreal, man.
Yeah. I saw all those bands except for Dead and Company, which I kind of wish I had seen one of those, but. I thought all the other ones were okay, but it was just the celebration of that music. So that's what you could get at the time.
Tristan, did you see any of that?
Yeah, same as Christian. I saw the other ones, the Dead and Further. That was the last. I never saw Dead. I never really had the desire to see Dead and Company, but I was holding on. You know what I mean? I was holding on, but then it was just like there's a whole generation of young kids who never saw the Grateful Dead who became rabid Deadheads over
that's great
over the Dead and Company. But I guess I was just like jaded or something. I was like, that's not the fuck, that's not the Grateful Dead.
I think I saw all those bands at one time or another. To me, the one that I really enjoyed, that I thought was really good, and it was really basically because of Joe Russo, was Further. I thought Joe Russo really put some pep in the step of that band, and because that was like my gripe, like with the Dead and the others, is with the two drummers. It was like it was like watching the car rust, and watching paint dry. But I thought Joe Russo really put some pop and some pep in the step, and they played. They had a great repertoire. Phil was in the band. I think I saw them with Donna. Once, and that band I thought was great, and I saw when the Dead and Company first started playing, I saw them before they really slowed down.
Yeah, the first few runs there were some fun shows, for sure.
I thought I'm a big fan of of John Mayer. I think he's really great. He's a great player. I think he stepped into some big shoes. I'm a big fan of him as a player. He's fantastic.
I was shocked when I first heard that that's what was happening, and I'm like, I don't see this possibility. And then there was a rehearsal of an I Know You Rider, and I was like, holy shit!
You were sold.
Told me that this guy could do that. I was like, okay. I was like, I'll go check this out.
And it's funny because the guy I thought that like John Mayer is sort of what I thought like Bob Weir was like in the 80s, like that kind of like just a guy that, you know, was popular with the girls and, you know, just
Larry, I see your question. Let me take a sponsor break, a quick one, fellas. Can you guys hang out another 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Let me do a sponsor thing. We'll come back and we'll take questions from around the world and we'll just bounce the ball back and forth a little bit. I'll see you in a couple minutes. Once again, this is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. It is a tribute and a memorial to the late, great Bob Weir, formerly of the Grateful Dead. If anybody has any questions or comments, you know, put it up. We're gonna bounce the ball. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you have too. I know it was just really just a couple of deadheads kind of talking about the Grateful Dead, but that's what we do on the New York Hardcore Chronicles. For the most part, with any band. Yes, we are sponsored by blah, 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 and She Devil's Coven. It's a female-owned entrepreneur business based out of Connecticut. Owner Rachel King Keys handcrafts soy wax candles for your intentions, for your sanctuaries. She's accomplished a life goal dream since beauty school, debuting her artist showcase, Hotties and Hellions, that features live bands, burlesque, sideshow acts, vendors, food trucks, and this year a live auction, with all proceeds going to the mental health program Punk Rock Saves Lives. Catch her in the tri-state area doing her thing, slinging camels at events, and keep an eye out for her show coming to New York in the spring of 2026. You can find her on Etsy and on Instagram. What's up, Joe Romini, the Texas Silver Rush? They're a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as the style and for stave, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rowley, Ringo Starr, and of course, Agnostic Front. Information and online sales will be taken at their Facebook and Instagram page, and of course, www.thetexassilverrush.com. That said, any questions, any statements, anything you want to say, any statement you want to make, post it up. I want to mention a couple upcoming shows, which gives me an excuse to bring this guy back on. Hey, aren't we playing? Here we are. We're playing a week from Saturday.
It's going to be a banger. This is a good bill. I'm excited for this one for sure.
Sheer Terror, The Take, Nailed to the Cross, ID, and a couple others. Of course, that is our great sponsor, Minty Fresh. And while I have my bandmate on the show, let's skip. We're going to be up in Albany Saturday, January 31st. Once again, we're playing with Tree in Albany at Empire Underground. The real reason we're playing up there is because I like the breakfast at the hotel across the street. So it's a good excuse to get back up to Albany and see all our Albany friends. And then an hour from Albany the next day, we are playing in Kingston, New York. So February 1st, got a couple bands in Kingston, New York. And then the first show back at A7 on Sunday, February 15th. Free all ages Sunday matinee. Actually, free 16 plus Sunday matinee. ID, Silence Equals Death, Sad Plant, DIY, and Breed Weir. Are you psyched to play the A7 again?
Oh, yeah. Always fun to play the room, for sure. Yeah,
the Magic Room.
Magic Room.
Anything else pertain to us on here? No, we're doing My War in... You're off the hook for this one, Skipper.
My favorite band, My War.
Your favorite band?
I don't have to do.
Yeah. Yep. That said, let's bring on our other guests.
What Weir song are you going to add to the My War set?
Let's bring back on from Shadows 4, Brian Fair and Christian. Let me put everybody back in their Brady Bunch spot that I like, that I feel good about.
Is that right? Weir and the Wolf Brothers was my favorite entity after the Grateful Dead. I did not see the Wolf Brothers. Did any of you guys?
No.
Not live. I watched a couple.
Yeah.
Was it the Tiny Desk concert they did?
Yeah.
So, but I never got to catch that.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't have any dead members, J-Rad shows, the Joe Russo's Almost Dead shows are amazing.
Oh, yeah.
If you ever have a chance to catch that, I mean, that's high octane dead.
Yeah, I love
some other covers thrown in as well. But man, those dudes can play.
Yeah,
I've got to see that. Did anyone see Billy and the Kids?
I webcast it, but didn't get to see that in person.
I haven't either.
Hawaii
That was Bill Kreutzmann. Who was it? That was Billy Kreutzmann and like some of his boys from Hawaii.
They had a few different versions. The one I watched was the guitar player for J-Rad, Billy Strings, played as well. And I think they actually James Casey used to play saxophone for the Trey Anastasio band. He passed away, unfortunately, recently of prostate cancer. He played sax in it. And I think the keyboard player was from the Disco Biscuits, but I could be wrong. I forget who played bass, but they were. It proved to me that Dead and Company wasn't slow because of Billy. Like, he was swinging. Like, and it was literally in his backyard in Hawaii, where they're literally playing in his backyard. It was fucking awesome.
It's a good question. Linden Art Studio. What was the best opening act you remember seeing open for the Grateful Dead? That is, and you guys, I seen a couple. Anybody?
Yeah, I saw them with Sting in Vegas, and then Bruce Hornsby at the Garden, that Greenpeace show, and Hall and Oates.
Oh wow!
It was.
I saw that show. That was that benefit show at the Garden.
Yeah. September 24th, 1988. Not that anyone's keeping track.
CSN in Buffalo in '90 was great. I remember Jerry was on the side of the stage watching them, which was just kind of cool to see.
Who was that?
CSN.
Oh wow!
The '90s show in Buffalo.
Wow.
That was the last Brent show I saw. I mean, that was probably he probably only had another couple shows after that. I think.
Yeah.
They did some with
one show.
Dr. John. Did they do shows? I feel like they did some shows with Dr. John somewhere. Maybe
it's funny funny you should bring that up, because I was thinking my answer. It wasn't the Dead, but I saw Dr. John open up for the Jerry Garcia band at the Capitol Theater in Passaic, New Jersey, and he came out. He came out with the whole voodoo getup and the staff, and he came out with opened up. He came out with Iko, and shaking this, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, the only opener I ever caught was Dylan opened for that Highgate show, my last show, '95 Highgate, and it was Dylan in the "I want to be a lead blues guitar player" phase. So it was like not of Dylan incarnations.
He eventually got Charlie Sexton, who ripped, but Dylan was still taking the solos.
He wanted to do the solos, and he solos like he plays harmonica. So it was something.
Yep. Slapshot XX says, "Yo, Kristen, nice to see your face." PMA.
Is that Steve?
Oh, maybe it is. Yeah. Rusted Root. James Kufalas 46. Rusted Root opened at Pittsburgh Three River Stadium in '95.
Yeah, it seemed like those big stadium shows, they would usually have at least an opener here or there in those days. Those big stadium shows.
I saw the Dead, Dylan, and Tom Petty at Rich Stadium in Buffalo. And I must say, Tom Petty blew both those bands away. He really did.
That era was
like 87 or something.
Yeah. It was 87, but Tom Petty, baby, maybe even the loser. They came out and Tom Petty was fucking great. Yeah. And like Dylan was like, like, what song is he playing?
Yeah.
And the Dead was like, oh God, Brother Esau kill. It was like, ay.
Petty's got a freaking incredible catalog of songs hard not to like. You know what I'm?
They just really were fantastic.
They're just good songs. Like.
Oh, 10,000 Maniacs. I remember that.
Yeah.
Right. Violent Femmes, right? Sure.
I think that's true. That's true.
Versago 1. For anyone into metal and the Dead, check out Truckin', the metal cover band version of the Dead.
Really?
Don't know that. Larry Kelly, I'm looking for that. Oh,
I want to ask a question. What if John Mayer never did anything else except join the Grateful Dead in, say, the 80s? Would he have been accepted?
I think the rejection of him was more because he was already, your body is a wonderland, and it was kind of like soft, like wasn't he dating, or well, he was banging everyone, but he was dating Jessica Simpson, so it's like immediately not for us.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
It seems like such an odd combo.
He proved himself though.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like if he just waltzed in with the way he was playing with Dead and Co, it'd be like, holy, this guy's.
If that's all I'd ever heard of him, I would be like, oh, this guy's a guitar genius, But yeah, but it was really hard to get past from Dark Star to Bodies of Wonderland is a tough jump.
I think his resume worked against him, at least for impressions.
Yep.
But he proved himself.
Yeah, he's great. He's a great guitar player, man. He's freaking great. And I love the story of how he came to be exposed to the Grateful Dead. He wasn't into the Dead, and he heard Althea peripherally, and he's like, "What's this?" Yeah. And he it caught his ear, and he was like, "What? This is the Grateful Dead?" And he did a deep dive and just fell in love with the band.
Yeah,
I mean, kind of great.
Yep,
there's a great version of that. Of him sitting in with the Joe Russo band. Of them covering.
Yeah, before he was in Denko. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Is that right? I know.
Some seeds were probably planted.
Yeah.
And then he interviewed Bobby later on, and for something, and you could tell they probably had a talk afterwards. That was probably the beginning there.
Chico Boston, good question, buddy. Out of all the various compilations, covers, tribute albums, are there any bands you feel did a Dead song justice or meets its greatness? I gotta say, Jane's Addiction's version of Ripple slays.
That was gonna be the first one I was gonna say for sure.
Los Lobos, Bertha.
Los Lobos.
Yep. When I first heard that, Jane's, I was like, "Oh, whoa, this is not working," and then it just grew on me. Absolutely.
Ship of Fools by Elvis Costello. That's another good one.
Jimmy Dale Gilmore doing Ripple. I was in Tower Records once, and they were playing it, and I'm like, I recognized Ripple, and this guy doing it. Oh wow, somebody nailed that. That's damn straight. Yeah. Jimmy Dale Gilmore Ripple, and I heard this in Tower Records, and I was like, who's this? And I bought the record, and I just fell in love with that record, Jimmy Dale Gilmore, and I did a deep dive, like we talk about, going back and following the breadcrumbs backwards, and that's how I.
How about thoughts on this one? Sublime doing Scarlet Begonias.
Oh God, brutal.
Yeah, that was a weird. That was a moment. That's for sure.
Yeah. People love that shit.
I love it.
I will say one thing, at the risk of being criticized, but when I first heard that record, the first record, I was living in California, I was in Long Beach, and these guys played. It was like a demo. And I was like, it's kind of all my worlds colliding, though. It was like it was punk, and then they threw in the Dead and made it okay.
Did you like it?
Sublime, first time I heard it, I loved it, but it was nobody knew who the hell they were. Yeah. And it was just kind of like, whoa, this is like, there's punk, there's ska. And then I heard Scarlet Begonias. I'm like, it's hip hop. It was like all the music I listened to sort of coming together in one band in a way. Yeah. I can't really stand it now.
Yeah.
But at the time, I thought it was cool.
I can see that. Someone brought up one I wanted to mention, the Burning Spear Estimated Profit cover. Have you ever heard that?
Oh, yeah.
When it gets all dub and all of a sudden it's just like fire wheel. So good.
I think it's all on that record, that great Dedicated, was it called? Yeah. It was like and that was in the CD era.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember buying that on CD, and you get something like that was great because it had a lot of music on it. It wasn't a record; it was a CD that was had 80 minutes. There's a lot of music on there. Oh, great! Hey, Count, what's up, buddy? Hey, we're playing upstate. I hope we see you. For a band who were around for 3 decades, do you guys feel that they should have made more studio albums?
I'll chime in first. I mean, the live show was the thing. You know what I mean? I liked them. I was into the first show I saw. It was like that. That's what blew my mind. So I don't know that more studio albums really would have done them much justice. But
Yeah,
that's my thought on it. Was the
I
live
pretty much feel
station.
the same way. Part of me would have liked to have heard like maybe a studio version of So Many Roads or a few songs that didn't get recorded or whatever. But most of those songs would have been the Sambas in the Rain and the and Liberty and like whatever.
Yeah.
So maybe it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
But I so rarely go back to the studio stuff that I don't, with all that's out there now that so much of it's been remastered from soundboards and everything like that. It's like, I got all I need. So
yeah, some of the early ones they never even recorded, like Tennessee Jed and Brown Eyed Women and Ramble on Rose. And
they're the only band outside of Fish that has canon songs that were never studio recorded. It's crazy to think. No other band could ever get away with something like that.
Well, they did that kind of crazy thing. Like instead of going back into the recording studio, they did Europe 72.
Europe 72, and that's all you needed. Those are the best version of those songs, and they fixed some vocals, and they did what needed to be done. And
it's fucking 3 records at the time, and it just there's so many staples on there. Ramble on Rose, Tennessee.
That was one of the first ones they got.
Solid Roses too had like Bertha, right? Never studio that like some of that album has some.
That's right. Bertha is no.
They consider that Europe 72 version. That's the studio version for all guys.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes it's just incredible that Jerry Garcia passed at only 53 years old.
I know.
He was so young, 53, and sometimes I just think like, and they had such an incredible body of work. Sometimes I just think about, could you imagine if they would have played for another 10 years? It's just, or 5 years.
Yeah.
And it pains me that they never got around to recording that last record, because I feel like there are some greats that now at the time, I wasn't a big fan a lot of those songs, but in retrospect now, I love like Liberty.
I love
and
Lazy River Road.
That's the one. That's the one.
Yeah,
that's the one. Lazy River Road is just it just hits me in the heart. And I love the Phil songs that he didn't. They put that stuff out. They try to put together like a what if. And Phil said, "Yo, don't put my songs on there." And Phil, those if the shoe fits. I like those 3 Phil songs. Like I like a lot of those songs, and that I guess when things slowed at the end and there was a lot of problems, they just couldn't function in the studio. Garcia couldn't function, and it never happened. Very sad, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So, what member of the Grateful Dead families from upstate New York? Mickey Hart.
He's from Long Island, I think. Lawrence.
My guess would be Mickey Hart. Who else from upstate? It's not Garcia. It's not Lesh. It's not Weir. Who's from upstate?
One of the God shows? I don't know.
Kreutzmann? Oh, Grateful Dead family. Oh, Mountain Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think? So
I think Mickey Hart's from Lawrence on Long Island, and then he moved to Frisco later.
Mickey Hart was a waiter at
Ben's Deli.
no, better yet, the hotel in not Grossinger's, the Concord.
Oh, Concord,
yeah.
That Grateful Dead family album book. Do you remember that book?
Yeah.
That big white book.
I think that's where I learned that. Yeah, it's like a bar mitzvah picture or something.
Yeah.
Right. That's great. All right. Well, hey. Great show, you guys. I think we worked through our grief.
We did.
And sorry for the criticisms beyond the grave, Bobby, but we love you.
Yeah.
Listen, Ace. I know you take it with a grain of salt. Love you. Love all the work you did. You really were an incredible influence on my life. So the music lives on. I mean, the music will live on. I heard somebody, he talked about like a 300-year legacy, and I think that's about right. You know, for their music. Yeah. Christian, anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to shout out?
Thank you 3 for doing this. This was great to this, because this is literally something I would do with my friends that are into the Dead. We would sit around and, talk about our favorite songs, shit on some of the songs. And thank you, Drew, for having me on. I'm a big fan of this podcast, so it's
thank you,
honor to be among like all the amazing guests you've had, and everyone that's still watching us sit here for an hour and 20 minutes later.
You were a great guest. You behaved yourself, and you're welcome back anytime.
You didn't piss on the floor. Everything's good.
Audio was okay.
Yeah. We'll talk. Yeah, you know what? Your audio game was on point. It's a tough rating system here at the New York Hardcore Chronicles.
You know how to use your technology.
Yeah, I have my light here that I have. See.
Yeah. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon, Christian. Let's keep in touch.
Nice meeting you, Christian.
All right, take care. Brian, here I have a photo to go along with you. Anybody you want to shout out? Anybody you want to thank? And can you bring us up to date on Shadows Fall?
Yeah. First of all, I just want to thank for having me on. Like Christian said, this is something that I would be doing with friends, I always love discovering people who are into Dead out of the the normal kind of ecosystem is always a fun thing. So
yeah.
It was a pleasure. And yeah, as far as Shadows Fall goes, we're finishing up the new record. I don't know when it's going to be dropped. I got to finish vocals with Zeus, hopefully soon. And then once that happens, I'm sure we'll be playing some more shows. So we'll definitely be spreading the word. But thanks for having me on, man. This was a blast.
Hey, the audience is clamoring for you to come on to the show and talk about your career outside the. So I guess what we should wait until maybe the record's about to come out or something.
Or whatever, man. Yeah, I'm down anytime. So anytime.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, man.
Indeed, man. It was nice meeting you guys.
It was great. Nice talking to you soon. Take care. That was awesome.
That was great. Yeah.
It's like I didn't know Brian, so I thought it was just really great that our common meeting place was here talking about the Grateful Dead.
You never know, right?
You never know.
Never know. Yeah.
And I guess anybody you want to thank, anybody you want to shout out?
Well, thank you for having me on. It was awesome to not have to talk about myself. So
yeah,
it was a lot of fun. It was certainly a lot of fun. I appreciate you, and I apologize to Kristen for the smell in our bedroom, but and then the usual suspects, all the people who support you and support our band and support the scene in New York. We love you guys.
You should just wrap that thing up real quick and just throw it in the garage and be like, what do you like? What, you smell something?
I don't know.
I'm going to text her right now and be like, yo, Tristan, if it's Tristan,
maybe the cats or something. I don't know.
Maybe that's what happened. Maybe the cat's pissed on it or something.
Possible. No, it's just musty, man. From
damp
garage smell, bro.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? We have a new song and we have a record coming out, and the record's great and we love it. And we have this new song that we just came up with. It's probably the greatest song we've ever come up with.
Oh, you're talking last night?
Yeah.
Stand and Be Counted. Hopefully everyone will get to hear it someday. But
it'll take us about a year.
Surprisingly well. Yeah, very cool.
There's about a year lag time in its device, but I hope you all enjoy the new record. There's other great stuff that's
behind it. Right.
It's cool. All right, man. I'll see you. The next time I see you will be
this Saturday. The next, yeah.
Yeah.
I love you too, Larry. Thank you for everything you do. Really appreciate. And Mark Tolch, I saw, was on it. Ray Hogan. Thank you guys. We love you. Appreciate everything you do, man.
I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
All right, take it easy, Joe.
Right,
thank
bye-bye.
you, guys.
Well, there you have it. Thanks for hanging in there, everybody. It was a great show. Wow, I left the TV up the whole show. That's rare. I don't think I've ever done that. I spaced out and didn't pull the TV down. Wow. Shows where my head was at. Thank you for Saga One. Thanks, Larry Kelly. Thanks, Francis. A Count Upstate. Thank you. Hideous Strength. Lee. Everybody. It's a cool show. Did I go through all the photos? Oh, here's a cool photo. I didn't put this one up. It's kind of a mashup that the what do you call them? The Delta Bravo did for me at the band shell in Central Park. Check that out. Pretty cool, right? Perfect. From when the Dead played the band shell in the 60s. Very cool. Very cool shot. What else? That's pretty much it. I think, I didn't do this one here, this ad for for Weir. Hold on. Yeah, this is one I didn't get a chance to put up. Pretty cool one. We didn't get as deep into. No, I never met Bob Weir. I never met him. I never met anyone in the Grateful Dead. Bumped into him once on the street and kind of freaked him out. But I never met him. Never met anyone in the band. Crazy. Learned a lot about the Dead today. All right. Cool. Very cool. That said, we will be back here. Thank you, Paul. Paul Messlin. A new name and a new face. Well, thanks for tuning in, Paul. I hope you appreciate it. Drew, when are you doing a show on David Peel? Not sure. That one's not exactly on the I'm so backed up with shows, but probably someday. So I'll probably be doing this. I'll be working till like Weir. I'll be working till the very end with this. The next time I see you on here will be this Sunday. John Gallagher. Now for something completely different. John Gallagher from Raven, co-hosted by Joel Gustin. So thanks a lot, everybody. Fantastic show. This was the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Until next time, do good things. Once in a while, you get shown the light in the strangest of places if you look at it right. Do good things, and good things will come to you.
By indoctrination, conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty.